but I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
With a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. They were too fast to be in airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. That's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0, 1, 1, 0.
Doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Yo ho, yo ho. Welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we're here tonight with our good friend James Salsido of SalsidoParanormal. And tonight, we're talking about spirit portals. That's right. We're going to get there tonight, so hang tight for that. But what is this, you may ask, if you found yourself in some bizarre spirit portal and you're listening to this wondering, what in the world is going on? Well, let me explain. No, too much. Let me sum up. This is the show where we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. You know what they are. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. As I said, we are live. We're always taking your phone calls on this show. With rare exception, we've done one show ever where we weren't taking phone calls, but this is not one of those shows. This is a social show. This is where we get together and talk about all that stuff that we were mentioning there and more. Basically, there's one rule. Just be nice to each other. Simple as that. Just be kind to each other. And literally, that's the rule. And we love to have you in the chat. Love to have you guys call in and be part of this. But your ideas are your own. All right. So there's no Church of Troubled Minds. There's no troubled minds getting together trying to say you have to think this or think that to be part of this. You believe what you want to believe. And I think it makes for a more rich conversation when it's not an echo chamber, when we can kind of bounce ideas off of each other and talk about this stuff and think about this stuff. And as you know, if anybody's been listening to this show, you will know that as you listen and you hear the callers we get, brilliant people calling in, by the way, which we have one on the show tonight, actually, who typically calls in as well. We'll get to James in just a second. But the thing is, like, when you listen to other people speak about the crazy topics we bring up, it kind of jostles your mind a little bit, makes you think about things in different ways, and it's a good thing. And that's why we do it this way in this format. It's why it's good to have a conversation. And again, like I always say, we can agree or disagree, and it doesn't really matter because we can still be friends at the end of it. And I truly believe that there's no as long as we don't get nasty with each other, there's no reason to make it nasty. So there you go. So one more time, if you want to be part of the show tonight, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can find the phone number at troubledminds.org. And I'll get to where we're streaming in just a second. Let's get to James. What's up, James? James is Salsido Paranormal. Welcome to the show, my friend. How are you tonight?
I'm okay. Thank you for having me again.
Pleasure's all ours, man. I appreciate it very much. So, for those that don't know, tell everybody a little bit about your podcast, my man.
Yeah, well, I have had several experiences with paranormal over the years, just supernatural, just weird things, and I think it's always more interesting when we can talk about these things and share each other's stories and discuss what it all means. And that's kind of what got me to start my own podcast, Salsido Paranormal. That was the easiest name to make it without trying to worry about it already being taken or anything like that. So and that's where I do that. I do different episodes. I do some that are topic based, similar to your show, Mike, and then I do others where I just I collect stories of people's experiences, because I think everyone should be allowed to talk about their experiences.
Absolutely, and that's very much in line with what we do here as well. And so, good stuff. If you guys don't know, James actually records his shows live like we do, and you can participate in those as well. He does that Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. What's the exact time on that, James?
It is 8 p.m. Eastern.
Okay, so 8 p.m. Eastern, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Join James's Discord. We'll have a link coming up in a sec here in the chat. But of course, his link to his show, Salsido Paranormal, is down below on Rockfin and on YouTube. It's on every show basically for weeks now, maybe months even. I lost count. It's once he started calling in every show and was the fine fellow that he is, I just added the link and left it there because, well, that's how awesome James is. So let's get going tonight. So we were talking about, James and I did a show not that long ago, a few weeks back, and we were talking about portals as sort of supernatural portals, as mirrors, okay? And we were talking about that whole possible mirror universe thing, the Bloody Mary, and that type of stuff, right? And it turns out that we planned on doing some more stuff too, some more portals with, in particular, like doorways and sort of the trope of the monster under the bed and things like this, right? Like some people, some of the ghost stories kind of come out with people describing something reaching from the bottom of the bed and grabbing their ankle and things like this, right? So it makes you wonder if or the you can talk about the pop culture trope of like the monster in the closet type thing, right? And little small children afraid of the closet for different reasons because there may be something lurking in there that's watching them or what have you, right? And it seems interesting that once you start talking about these, clearly as the veil thins, as we get closer and closer to Halloween, it starts to make me wonder anyway, where are these portals coming from? Like, and not only that, are there structures or areas or what have you that are more likely to maybe have an open door to the other side? And so that's really the topic tonight. That's what we're thinking about. That's what we're talking about. And as you guys know, regarding this, we range far and wide the conversation here. Thank you, James. We've got the Discord link to James's server. Appreciate that. I was about to get it, but you beat me to it. But the thing is this, right? These conversations range far and wide, so it doesn't really matter, as long as you're kind of in the ballpark here to start, and you want to take that thought that you have wherever you want to take it. That's why we do this live, so it's okay. Don't feel weird about kind of. We're going to get into other portals as well, because as James will describe, and myself as we go tonight, we started looking into this, and there doesn't seem to be a ton of information about portals in particular as doorways or as closets or under the bed or things like this. It's the more you dig, the more you find, but there's not a ton of information out there, unless of course our nice technocrats have buried all this information to the 10 millionth hit on the search engine, and that means nobody will ever find it, including us, because nobody's got that much time in a lifetime. But yeah, so I know James was talk a little bit about that. How come you think it's tough to find information about spiritual portals as doorways and maybe closets and things like this, windows, that type of thing?
Yeah, I think it's hard to say. There's still the world and the internet. They're still kind of, I think, embracing this topic. It's not totally mainstream yet. Obviously, I think that's part of it. I think part of it is, again, the stigmatism, the shaming anyone that talks about these things, or making jokes about them, or all those things. And just based on what we found with the research, it's not just doors, it's not just closets, it's not just windows. It really does seem to be like they can be anywhere, and I think that's makes it harder to find. Like you said, I mean, even without any help, quote unquote, from the technical people out there that's in charge or whatever, I think that can just get lost, in all the vastness of the internet.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right there on that first point. All of the points actually, but I'm going to focus on the first one here because I think like you say, we're probably ahead of the curve here when it comes to talking about stuff like this. We take different topics and we kind of attack them in entertaining ways and try and stretch the envelope. Try and push that envelope a little bit, and think of new ideas. You can tell ghost stories and do these things forever because they've been around forever. But I think there are so many unique ways of looking at this particular aspect of like the paranormal. Where do the ghosts come from, right? Where do they cross over? Are there particular areas? And so not only that, so that's what we're going to talk about tonight, but then it kind of gets you thinking in terms of like locations, right? We've talked about in the past how maybe when the landscape changes from like a forest to a clearing, a meadow sort of thing, there's like these natural barriers that exist. And so not just maybe natural barriers that the earth has done, like kind of organic natural barriers, but like barriers in a house, right? That who knows? I think, kind of like I said last night on the show when we were talking about UFOs, if they're like a dimensional phenomenon, it makes sense to me that that's why we can't get any clear pictures, because they're in this naturally phasing state, right? And so things end up blurry. Because you can't expect to like get a crispy, clear photo of like a dimensional something, right? I don't think it works that way. But I think it's the same thing in the sense of ghosts and the paranormal, that maybe, let's say from the other side, they're looking into our world and maybe they don't recognize, just a theory here, don't recognize where the actual barriers are, the portals. Maybe they see them as just a simple doorway in the closet. And so they think they can pass through, and maybe they do. I don't know. What do you think about that as we go? I'll pull up some information. We'll talk about that in a sec, but just kind of toss them out some ideas to start here.
Yeah, I think that's all of what you said makes sense. I think I'm kind of reading on and off. I'm reading in the chat here, and I think fear is also a part of it too, of experiences that people have had, that frighten them. Not everyone wants to talk about things when they're frightened, so I just wanted to add that real quick to that. But yeah, and my mind's trying to go everywhere at once. But no, I think that the portals, I think we may hear about the ones in doorways and stuff like that more like possibly like in popular culture and just in lore in general. Like I know there's the cliche of the creature in the closet, or like you said, under the bed. And where does that thing come from?
Yeah, and is that a natural barrier? I was trying to think in terms of those natural, or not natural, man-made barriers today. And I was trying to think of why, like the monster under the bed would be a thing, right? And I don't know, is it like again, it's not just like kids describing, the monster under the bed type stuff. Like I said, I'm sure you've heard stories of being grabbed by the ankle type stuff from under the bed, right? So any theories on that, on why maybe under the bed might be a thing?
Well, it's in space to most people, unless they're storing things under there. I think a lot of people don't even consider under their bed that much. I wonder if that has something to do with it. And I mean, it's dark under there usually, so that you could equate that possibly with darker beings or more negative beings. Because I mean, I don't think anything is that's good is going to be trying to grab your ankle as it's hanging off of the bed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's part of it.
Yeah, so maybe interesting. So like people aren't naturally, under beds and things. So it's ends up kind of like let's say like an idle space, right? So there's not like people moving through it. So I wonder if that's it. Interesting. So again, this is why having these conversations kind of live is it makes your mind go, oh, all right, maybe that's why. So like the closet door in particular, if you're talking about portals, we'll get to the portals and some information here in a sec. But like I said, maybe it's because those spaces aren't widely used, right?
Right.
Including like under the bed. It's an idle space, and so people don't pass through there in particular. People sleep above it, and so it's kind of a space at rest. And so I wonder if that's maybe what's happening there. Yeah, interesting, good stuff. So this is from Higgy Pop's Paranormal Hub, and it says, "What is a paranormal portal or vortex?" And that's what we're talking about tonight, guys. We're here with James Salsido of Salsido Paranormal, and we're just kind of spitballing stuff, looking at ideas, some articles on the internet. We've got a couple stories we can probably read if we get into that. But as always, we'd love to hear from you. As part of this, we want to hear your theories on this. Why do you think these, maybe windows, doorways, possibly under the bed, things like this are actual portals to the other side, through the veil, as it were? And that's what's on our mind tonight. So if you want to give us a take on this, we'd love to hear from you. And you can reach us at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can join the Discord at troubledminds.org. Forgot to mention we're streaming on Rockfin, DLive, YouTube, and Twitter. And no French tonight, having technical issues with that as well. So we will be back on that as soon as that gets fixed. Okay, so let's go to this. Let's go to this article here. It says, sometimes referred to as an energy vortex or simply a vortex, these areas allow spirits and other supernatural entities to pass through into our world and are therefore often blamed for an increase in paranormal activity. In fact, cases of this nature are specifically referred to as portal hauntings. The idea of a portal to another dimension is nothing new, but there is a massive mix of opinions on what a vortex is, how it opens, and how it behaves. Some say that a portal can open and close in the blink of an eye, allowing something to slip through. Others claim that there are permanent active portals in or on their properties. So we'll go back to this article in a little bit here, but thoughts on that? Now, that's the wild part about this, is that are these particular doorways or portals or whatever's going on, do you think they're open permanently, or do they open sort of just maybe at particular times, or like they said, in the wink of an eye, you just snap your fingers and a portal opens and then it closes? How do you think that works, James?
I don't know how any of it works, but I do think it makes sense about some places where, and I think this is in one of the articles somewhere that we looked at, but the idea that could explain in certain cases why, and people have activity and then they contact their whatever religion they support or they're part of, contact someone from that religion, and that person comes and seems to clear the house, but then activity starts up again. It could be because of one of these portals, whether it's staying open or it's opening and closing, is letting in more, bringing more beings, more entities toward them, and causing that to continue.
Yeah, so on your podcast there, again, Salsido Paranormal is his podcast. Please check it out, guys. Links are down below. You read a lot of ghost stories. You've talked about a lot of this paranormal stuff. Have you seen any stories recently or ever even that really are sort of this portal haunting type of thing, where maybe certain times of year, or what triggers it, and how many stories is it? Does it seem to be like a normal thing, or is it kind of rare in your experience so far?
I'm just trying to think here. I don't feel like I've gotten a lot of stories about portals. Maybe once in a while. I think one of those things that unless you look into all this and you kind of have an idea of what it is, could be that there's a lot more of these than people realize, and that's what's causing the strange things that they experience. So I don't know. I know I've heard of stories of people having these experiences, and one or more of them are extra sensitive to all this, and then they can actually see or sense the portal or the vortex opening and closing. So that can be a thing, I think, in some cases. Yeah, I can't think of any one story, but it pops up here and there.
Okay, yeah, and I think that's probably an interesting take on it too, is I guess maybe some people don't realize that the conduit is maybe in themselves sort of thing, and they kind of maybe accidentally open up portals just kind of with their own being, kind of accidentally. And then also, like I said, maybe people intentionally trying to open up these portals, right? I don't know. I think that's the weirdness of this. Do they stay open? Are they things that kind of open and close? I don't know. I think that's the weirdness of this. But you guys tell us. Again, like I said, we're talking about paranormal, supernatural type portals tonight. And why do they happen, let's say, particularly around barriers, around windows? We've talked about mirrors in the past. If you want to add that into the actual conversation tonight as well, we're open to that, because why the hell not? But it does seem that there's something to this, and I don't know. Like again, right? Without being a spirit medium or playing with the Ouija board by yourself, which I'm told James does quite often, which I don't recommend, by the way. Don't do that, James. Stop that, please. I'm just kidding.
Oh, now you're saying I've done it already. Yeah,
there we
how
go.
it is.
See,
okay.
See, it's an old joke. I'm always teasing James about conjuring spirits into his bedroom. But so what does it come down to? Like, do you think people are actually opening these things by accident, on purpose? Are they, again, like seasonal things, like we talk about October and kind of coming up to Halloween here? Do you think they happen on different times of the year, or it seems like there's a lot of variables here? And so, how do you guys think this works? Is it again? We got some great chat here. Let's read some of the chat just real quick. Mbole, what's up, says portals aren't necessarily everywhere, but they can be anywhere, if that makes sense. Sorcerers have the ability to open and close most portals, not all. Meaning that some are always open, right? Always constantly open, that sort of thing. Quick take on that. We got a break in about 2 minutes, James, but quick take on Mbole's idea there, and we'll keep on trucking.
I think they have it right. I don't necessarily think they're everywhere, but I think they can be almost anywhere. I think that they can open and close, so I think that there's it's hard to tell how many are out there and how many are not. And then of course there's, as you mentioned, there's those that are by water, and who knows how many are by all those. Are all waterways portals in a way?
Yeah, which actually we'll get to. I actually pulled up a little bit of that because it actually turned up in some of the articles and stuff we were looking at. As you start to look into supernatural portals, what do you know? Rivers and waterways seem to keep coming up, if you can believe that, right? Well, it is on deck, and so we're looking to hear from you guys tonight. We're here. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We're here with James of Salsido Paranormal. Check out his podcast. Give him some love. Fantastic stuff going on over there. And tonight we're talking about portals. Supernatural portals, gateways. How do they actually manifest? Are they always open? Are they sometimes open? Why do they appear where they do? All kinds of questions tonight, and love to have you as part of the conversation. 702-957-1037. If you want to be part of the show, one more time, 702-957-1037. And this is Troubled Minds. More after the break. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we're here with our good friend James Salsido of Salsido Paranormal Podcast. And tonight, we're talking about supernatural portals. Do they stay open? Do they need to be opened? Do they open in particular seasons? Why do they appear where they do? What's going on with this? What's the idea behind all this? And we're looking to hear from you tonight, because what's really going on? Hard to tell because, well, we're mere mortals after all, but it doesn't mean we can't have our own opinions. So if you want to be part of the show tonight, give us a call at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And by the way, we're streaming on Rockfin, DLive, YouTube, and Twitter. And so we are not on Fringe FM tonight, technical issues, but we will be back there as soon as possible. So there we go. All right. So we're welcome back, James. What's going on, buddy? It's been so long, hasn't it?
So long, but no, this is a great topic and great input from all the chats.
Yeah, it is good to watch the chat. Like I said, give you some ideas when you're trying to fill some space here as your mind wanders. They're kind of filling in some blanks for us, which is always fantastic. Okay, so let's get to this. So back to this real quick. We got a phone call coming in. It looks like Vicky. We'll take that in just a sec. But we're talking about portals, guys. A paranormal portal, a vortex. Why do they appear where they do? Our first idea for the show tonight was maybe doorways, windows, closets, under the bed type thing. But it's kind of difficult to find some direct information on why this may or may not be. So, of course, we're going to expand the conversation to maybe mirrors or rivers, as it were, or, maybe as landscapes change, thresholds, as Night Stalker said out there. What's up, Derek? So that's what we're talking about. What's on your mind tonight? If you want to be part of it, one more time, 702-957-1037. You can also join the Discord at troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. Phone number is right on top at the website. You cannot miss it. And we're streaming on the website itself. So if you're always if you're ever confused and don't know what's going on, just go to the website and you'll see what's happening. All the information is there. Okay, so let's do it. Let's go to Vicky. It looks like Vicky in Illinois. Vicky, welcome to the show. How are you tonight?
Good, Michael.
Right on. How you feeling? Feeling better, I hope?
Much better than I was.
Fantastic. Glad to hear it.
Just worn out a bit.
Sorry, go ahead. Go right ahead.
Trying to build up my strength.
Right on.
Being in the hospital for more, that takes everything out of you. Absolutely.
Hang in there. Prayers from myself, and I'm sure from the folks in the crowd here. So what are your thoughts on this portal stuff? Do you think that are they always open? Do they open intermittently? Can people open them? Why are they in particular areas, maybe doorways or thresholds like rivers and places like this? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, Adana and I had a portal in our bedroom when we were growing up, and on the other side of the bed of that closet was the bathroom, and the bathroom even had strange markings, looked like it even of Satan on it, on the walls.
Did you say
on the door for the bathroom? And it wasn't that way when Mom and Dad made the house. But my grandma, she was a witch, and she used to do all different kinds of things in the house, like the seances and whatnot. But even in my bedroom closet, because we never bothered to say anything to our nephew that now lives in the house with my brother's family and stuff, but he lives in that bedroom and he's scared to death, and we never said a word to him about it, but you can feel it. And I was always scared to death of that when I was a kid.
Okay, so the portal, I remember you telling I remember you telling us this story a ways back. So where exactly was that portal in the bedroom? Were you ever able to pinpoint it? Was it like in a window or something like this?
Oh, it's in the closet.
Okay, it is in the closet. Interesting. Okay. And how do you know it's there? When you get close to it?
Even when my brother was dying. both my brothers had passed, but when my brother that was 1 year older than me was dying, he even decided, and he was never told about that closet, that he went to the closet because he wanted to go through the portal. And nobody bothered to tell him anything about that before, but he knew.
Interesting. So he knew it as well.
It's scary in there.
It's scary in there. Okay,
Yeah.
so let me ask you then, how did you know it was there? So you said you had some hauntings as you grew up, some seance type ritual stuff in the house from, I think it was your aunt, right? You said that was actually doing this stuff?
My grandma.
Grandmother, okay.
But my grandma had already died before I was ever born.
Okay. So do you think she
would
maybe
do things with like my big brother and my sister and all different people, but there was all kinds of spirits in that house.
Okay, so do you think this portal was maybe opened by your grandmother?
Oh yes, and it didn't get closed. It just remains open. That's
pretty terrifying. So can you tell me how it feels when you get close to it? You said you can sense it. Is it like a brain tingle, or do you get cold or anything like that? How do you actually know it was there? How did you find it?
Well, during the daytime, I could actually play in my closet as a kid. But as soon as it was starting to get dark, there's no way I could. And I always made sure to lock the door. But in any house that has spirits and stuff, I can feel it in those houses. And it's usually the temperature drops more than 15 degrees wherever I'm at.
Okay.
If there's spirits in the house.
Okay, so you feel that chill. Interesting. Okay, so then,
yeah.
Do you have any idea how maybe that portal could be closed? I'm sure if you knew how, you probably would have closed it. But have you ever heard theories on how maybe to close those things up?
Well, I'm sure that we ended up burning even sage in the house before, And so that didn't do, but I'm sure that there's other people that have spirits in the house. But I've been in other houses where there's been spirits, and but not as strong as that house.
Yeah, so it seems like that.
My in-laws' houses, one where my brother-in-law killed himself in, and the other one was my mother-in-law's house, had spirits in it.
Yeah, that's wild. Okay, so you have any particular story you can tell us? So what's the most notable thing that happened in that house that made you go, oh yeah, this place is haunted?
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, even when I was sitting there watching, me and my mom was watching the movie and stuff, we would see somebody that looked like my mom thought it was my dad at first, walking through, to the bathroom or whatever in the middle of the night when we stay up and watch shows. But it wasn't, because we'd see somebody go into the bathroom, and like I said, that portal on the other side of that door was the bathroom entrance.
Okay, so there were actual.
See him go go through the bathroom to the bathroom, but he wasn't there. Nobody was actually there.
Oh, interesting. But
we would, go
them.
open the bedroom door, and Dad would just be laying there in the bed sleeping and snoring. So it wasn't him,
Right.
But we'd see a lot of different things in that room. Not just the room. We saw it all over. That whole neighborhood kind of felt it. Even when I'd go to my grandma's house, which was just down the street, we would have the devil. We'd see the devil. in that house.
Like the
My sister can confirm that with you guys.
yeah. So can you give us a description? Did the devil that you saw look like the classical devil, like red and horns and the whole deal, pitchfork tail, or was it something different?
We wanted to make sure to hurry up and get the hell out of there, you know?
Good point. I wouldn't be taking notes either. I'd be like, oh, gotta go. I got things to do. Gotta wash my hair later. Wow. Okay. So
It was like with my grandma, my grandpa built that house, and my grandpa helped build my mom and dad's house, which was kind of weird. You know, that both places were haunted.
yeah, interesting. So
But
Matt,
with my grandpa's house, it had a breezeway between the house and what was it called? Well, my grandpa had a room where he'd go ahead and, like to fix up the car or whatever. It wasn't really big to fix a car. So it wasn't really a true room to house the car or anything like that, but it was where I'm trying to see something here real quick. My sister says that she even said I could see a distorted circle spinning on the door while the portal opened. And Mom saw again. It looked like our dad, yes. And I remember that happening.
interesting.
I was just seeing what Donna wrote.
Yeah, and so she adds also, Mom saw a djinn. It looked like our dad. Interesting. So if you guys, again, so Vicky and Adonna are sisters, and they're usually on over on Rockfin. So if you want to go over and chat to them and join the Rockfin, go say hi. Very, very good stuff. So I don't know, did this maybe in some capacity follow you away from this portal ever? Do you think that's a possibility? Or you don't still live in this house, do you?
I don't live in that house. I don't even live in that town now. I just moved about a month ago.
Okay.
But Adonna lives in the town.
Okay. So do you have any feeling that something maybe followed you out of that portal? Is that a thing?
I don't feel that it followed me from that portal. However, in some of the other houses I have lived, I think that it had before. So I don't even sleep. When I go to bed and sleep, there's always lights on in the house.
Gotcha. I'm with you. I would be the same way. I would totally be the same way. All right, we're going to keep on trucking here. Do you have anything for James before we let you go? Yeah, we're here with James tonight.
Hello.
Yeah, hi, James.
Good to hear from you.
Has a great show.
Right on. Oh, yeah, that's
Thank
right.
you.
That's right. Vicky spent some time over in the chat there with James as well. I've seen her over there on when he's doing a live stream.
Mm-hmm.
Right on. Okay, so you guys know each other. We don't need any pleasantries. Dispense with the pleasantries. All right, Vicky, you were the best. Thank you so much for calling. We're going to keep on trucking. I appreciate your stories. I appreciate you listening.
Thank you, Michael.
Godspeed to get well. Okay, heal up fast.
And I've been trying to convince Adonna to get on there, but she's too shy to get on there to talk, but she'll post things.
That's okay.
And talk on the show otherwise.
Good.
But not with her voice.
All in good time. She's welcome whenever. I appreciate it, Vicky. Thank you so much for the phone call.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Have a great night. Appreciate you sharing. There you go. Holy smokes, man. What about that? You ever heard like a haunting, like maybe a lifelong sort of haunting happening from a portal like that, James?
I've heard about families across generations that have had experiences in the same house. Yeah, I don't know if they've ever attributed it to a portal directly, but that's one possibility why that could happen. I think if multiple generations, have lived in a house and they've all had experiences, and then, as Vicky was saying, if someone decided to make a portal through magical means or whatever, it's interesting. I don't know. I don't think I want to do that, but some people, I guess, are more curious about this stuff than others and willing to do more than just to observe. So that's a lot to have happen in one house.
Yeah. And so I asked her, I've heard this from not just as was described in the chat a little bit earlier, and how we talked about just briefly Skinwalker Ranch portals there. There's something known as the Hitchhiker Effect. And what that means is that if you're in an area with like maybe a portal open like this for a long time, or even you're close enough to a portal that's open just for a brief period, these entities, whatever come through them, have this ability to kind of piggyback on you and follow you home. Even if you're, hundreds of miles from home, like Skinwalker Ranch as an example, there have been hauntings that have followed people after they were doing investigations on that particular ranch, which of course has, been long considered a possible hot spot for portals opening and closing, things like this. Have you ever heard of the Hitchhiker Effect? And what do you think causes that?
I haven't heard it called that. I've heard more of like attachments. And it sounds like a similar thing. But there are plenty of stories that I think it does happen. It's not common, but there are teams of paranormal investigators that will go places, and after that they'll have activity follow them home.
Yeah,
and it's not that it happens every time. I think it's like anything. You have to be careful, and every once in a while, things are not going to go the way you want them to go. It's just one of the risks you have to keep in mind if you're going to do that kind of stuff. But yeah, and sometimes the attachments are not negative, just random things that will happen around a person in their home, sightings or objects moved or things like that. But other times, they can be negative and disruptive, and so I've seen all ends of the spectrum there too.
Yeah, so it does seem to be a thing, and I wonder. So I was kind of considering that maybe when that happens, it's because the spirit may not have good intentions and wants to, kind of like in that trickster spirit sort of vein, Loki style or whatever, wants to follow you home and keep messing with you, keep playing tricks on you, keep confusing you, keep trying to make you go crazy or whatever it is, right? But good point you made there. Maybe it's not intentional at all. Maybe it's benevolent in that maybe they like you, right? Maybe whatever entity comes through this portal or this gateway, they just form this attachment, as you said. And it may not be bad at all. It may be that, they like your energy and that's that, and they want to hang out with you, something like that.
Yeah, and I don't mean this directly at you, Mike, or anyone else, but I think a big part of that is, of course, due to Hollywood. Because according to Hollywood, everything supernatural has to be bad, just about.
Ah, yes. I thought you were bringing up Hollywood because you've seen my hair. No?
Oh. No, I'm
just kidding.
I'm legally blind, I'm not even looking at your face right now, so.
All right, I'm just kidding. It was a joke anyway. So just like very much interesting that we talk about aliens on this show as well. It's been said that there's like Stephen Greer has said this, even just to bring it to aliens for just a second, this conversation, that exactly that all of the Hollywood movies have been about, aliens invading, and you rarely get a nice, movie about aliens, kind of just showing up to chill, to hang out, to see what's going on, to say hi, and that sort of thing, right? Yeah. Interesting thoughts here. Okay, so we're here with James of Salsido Paranormal. Please check out his podcast if you have not. Links are all down below. You can find it super easy. We'll have his Discord linked here in a sec in the chat as well. As you will, James, just go ahead and link it as we go through. Appreciate that. And what we're talking about tonight is portals, supernatural paranormal portals, and where do they exist, right? We did an entire show previously, James and I, talking about mirrors as portals. But in this case, we can talk about that, of course, but we've already done that. We're kind of looking at other areas, maybe doorways like we described, maybe under the bed, maybe, who knows, thresholds as you maybe come in and out of a house or the yard or things like this. Who knows, right? Because, we've talked in the past about maybe land being haunted, like Matt described earlier, or even houses, objects, even haunted dolls and things like this, which I think we should probably get to later on this month as well, haunted objects and dolls, because who doesn't love a creepy haunted doll story, right?
Yeah, we could do that. That'd be fun.
Hell yeah. So yeah, that's what's going on tonight. And if you guys want to be part of the show, like I said, we're here with James. I'm Michael Strange. This is Troubled Minds, and we're just talking portals. We're talking how this works. So what we're going to do is take a quick break, and coming up at the top of the hour here, and then we got Derek. He says he's going to call after the break, the Night Stalker. So we're just doing our thing, kind of considering the possibilities here as always, right? You know me, I'm not the answers guy. I'm not trying to tell you guys anything because most of you know way more than I do anyway. But I think having these types of conversations, even if you don't know a ton about it, it does kind of make your mind expand, right? Considering things that you may not have considered. And that's always valuable in my opinion. So that's why we do this. That's definitely why we get together and do this. Any other thoughts here before we get down? We get a couple minutes left, maybe, James, before we take a break. But what do you think? What do you think about this and all the rest of this stuff so far? Anything to add?
I'm not even going to try to pronounce this person's name in this chat because I don't know that I could do it well. But they mentioned many symbols are portals. That's an interesting idea, and I think I've heard of that in fiction and just in general about the paranormal. Not that I can name any, but that makes sense. That could work, and that's probably part of the magic right there for opening them. I wonder if those could be keys possibly doing that, depending on what you want to do. That's an interesting comment.
Yeah, that's Mbole. That's how you say that. He says this in Palo, there is a ceremony we do called Dilanga, Dilanga. I think I said that right, where we take a white plate and pull a spirit off of a person. Once the Palero pulls the spirit, they exorcise it and then commission its last work. Interesting. The ritual cleansing, exorcisms. Good stuff. Like I said, looking to hear your thoughts on this, guys. If you want to be part of the show tonight, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Troubledminds.org is the official website. You can find the phone number and the Discord link there. And of course, we're here with James of Salsido Paranormal. So do check him out. Links are down below. Just scroll down a little bit. It says salsidoparanormal.podbean.com. Did I get it right this time? I think I did.
You did. It's funny. I'm not sure if it's down or not. I had a problem getting into it today, but I should be able to get it fixed by tomorrow if I know what it is. So, but either way, I mean that was just me. So hopefully you all can still get to it. And if not, like I said, tomorrow it should be up and running again.
Gotcha. Okay.
Technical issues. Always technical issues.
Yeah, right. Tell me about it. We're not on Fringe tonight. Technical issues. There's always something wrong with something. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break, and let's do it. Let's play some music and get the hell out of here. All right, so this is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We're talking about portals tonight. Spiritual portals, supernatural portals. Why do they appear where they do? How are they opened? How are they closed? Do they stay open? All kinds of things to think about, all kinds of things to talk about, and we're looking to hear from you. If you want to be part of the show, one more time, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at Troubled Minds, and we are here with James Salsido of Salsido Paranormal Podcast. Like I said, give him some love. Call in and say hi if you haven't met James yet. The time is now. He's right here, and we're talking and having a good time. So don't go anywhere. We got more Troubled Minds after the break, and we got Night Stalker's call coming up. Don't go anywhere. Talking about the alien abduction phenomenon.
The aliens are looking through your eyes and they're accessing your optic nerve. I'm doing fantastic. And through that optic nerve, they're transferring to your brain. People are random images as they traverse neurons in the brain.
All right, so maybe
also feel them planting or
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We are here tonight with James Salsido of the SalsidoParanormal podcast. Give this man some love. Fantastic stuff going on from him and the work he's doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday. He streams, and he's here with us tonight as we talk about portals. And not just portals, paranormal, supernatural portals, but where are they? What are they? Do they stay open? Can you close them? All the rest of this, that's what's on our mind tonight as we continue talking about this. And we're just doing our thing. Streaming on Rockfin, D-Live, YouTube, and Twitter. And of course, we're taking your phone calls. If you want to be part of the show tonight, it's 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can also click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. And there you go. Simple as that. Let's do it. Anything to add, James, before we go to Night Stalker?
No, just I'm loving the chat. I said it in the chat just now. It's so many great points.
Absolutely, 100%. All right, so let's do it. Let's kill this music and let's go to our good friend Derek in Massachusetts. Welcome, buddy. You're on with Mike and James. What's on your mind tonight, my man?
What's going on, you guys? Great show tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really great stuff, James. Loving hearing you on with Mike. This is maybe my favorite topic, the portal idea, and it's like probably the thing over the last like 5-6 years I've tried to like kind of shove into the zeitgeist as best I can, get people like accepting it. And honestly, it's come a long way from when I first started calling in a show. It's like 5 years ago to where we are now, as far as like people accepting the idea of portals. So I think we're on the right track. But like, because of how open it is and how like, obviously I think anything is possible and there's like infinite possibilities for anything. I like to kind of try to make some kind of rigidness a little bit, try to like focus in on some aspects of it, just so we can have something to grab onto, so we can like try to get deeper into what is really going on. So for me, that was like the water idea, the water aspect, you know. But first, like to touch on like your original topic and stuff, the idea being like closets and doorways and like doorways and that kind of stuff. The threshold idea is definitely an interesting one, and the idea where these like two rooms connect, or two spots connect, or two locations connect, two different areas will like connect on the physical plane. Like in the ethereal, then two realms could be merging in that location, you know. And like it's kind of like hard to explain almost. Like it's kind of trying to like, it's kind of the part about the ley line portal, like the river ley line portal idea, that like is kind of the hardest to get past, is like how are the rivers all connected? How are these like doorways all connected? How does like higher dimensions, how do you visually, or how do you try to explain that? You know, it's pretty tough, you know. So you kind of try to use examples, you know. So for me, it's like the feeling you get when like you can tell, let's say like you're lying down in bed or whatever, and like somebody like knocks on the door and like says, "Hey, what's going on?" or whatever, and then is leaving and like doesn't shut the door all the way. So you can feel if that door is open slightly versus like completely sealed. It's almost like it's like sealing the realm from like one. And like there's a big thing with like, especially I know with like autism, but especially with like smoking weed and like doing drugs, the idea of like a transition from one room to the next, or one location to the next, it's like it's an experience, you know. So sometimes people like won't like to smoke until they get to a spot, because the transition from one area to the next is like overwhelming for their mind. So I think there might be something, we see everything like it's all connected, like we're living in the 3D world or whatever, but it's just not actually like that. We know that. So just it might, something deeper might be happening when you're actually changing locations. And like a pop culture example of that is like the Matrix with the back doors and stuff. So like the key maker or whatever has like the master key and stuff, and will open a door to like, or like close a door to one location. When he opens it up instantly after, he's somewhere else, you know? So which gets to like the rigidness of it, you know? So like, I don't believe there are portals everywhere. I think there's like a framework to it. Like the same way our body has like acupuncture points and chakra points, whatever. If you were to like take those and as above, so below, on the earth body, that's kind of like what we're dealing with, like a set of nodes on the actual structure of reality. And those can be, and I think when they say like so-and-so is trying to open a portal somewhere or whatever is trying to do rituals on these locations or try to do some kind of scientific experiment on these locations, I think they're doing it on already existing doorways to elicit the reaction. But I don't think they're doing it whole cloth. You know, I don't think they're doing it. I don't think they're tearing space-time like that. It might be happening, and it probably could happen. And I would argue maybe that could be one of the rules you get to when you get to a certain level of like in the galactic empire or the universe, the multiversal empire, whatever you want to say. Like the nuke idea, like aliens worrying about nukes, is probably less to do with like you're going to destroy like the planet and they're watching us and caring about us. More like no, you're not allowed to rip space time. If you want to traverse the cosmos, you got to do it in these established doorways. I mean, you can't just cut. You can't just, if you want to like get out of the house, use the door. You can't like punch a hole in the wall and walk out the door. You know, there has to be some kind of like structure to it. You know, like. But I think it's also you can probably work around that. You know, and probably when some bad stuff happens. But I'm kind of rambling, so maybe take me back for a second. I got you.
So funny. You're talking about portals in different areas and things like this. As it didn't take me long, kind of digging into like these ghostly portals or whatever it is. James and I were bouncing links back and forth the last 24 hours, and it instantly ran into water. Instantly, right. I have the article up right now. It says look for a haunt near a body of water. I'm just like, damn it, really? We're back to this.
It's not a coincidence that you use dowsing rods to look for water and for ley lines. I mean, they're tied together intrinsically, you know. So I think that like, it's honestly like way too complicated to even try to get into. But for some reason, the source waters, like whatever water was, I don't know. Like the water itself, I think is what's quantumly linked together throughout the universe. And then like light is the information that like kind of imprints itself onto the medium that is water, and is able to like, I don't know. It's really tough to grasp, and it's like I'm only going to ramble and do a terrible job to explain it. But just to stick with like that portal idea, I do think there's like locations like this. So for me, like since like kind of the flip switch like 5-6 years ago, as far as like I should be looking for rivers, or at least like mystical source water, they call them, like springs and underground aquifers and stuff, not the ocean, like not salt water. It would be like specifically delta areas, like in a lot of ancient mythologies. They like where the salt water or where the fresh water and the sweet water merge together. Like again, it's the two different realms merging together. And like marshland, James, we can get way more into this when we go on your podcast on Saturday. But like, marshland is another one that's always considered to be these doorway areas, these like places where the veil is thin, because marshland and swampland and wetlands are where on the physical plane water and land are merging. So then in the ethereal, the two realms be merging. Crossroads is where you do like magical rituals, because it's where these literally two streets, I guess, in some instances, like an actual crossroad, or places where we perceive it as just like physical things crossing, but on other realms up and down the line, it's a real thing, you know. I don't know. I had any thoughts on that? I had more when I wanted to call. I'm kind of losing it right now.
No,
but
you're good.
Any thoughts?
So back to you were before I interrupted you and spun you off to the water thing. You were talking about like a framework of maybe like ley lines and that type of thing, and it brings to mind. I know you're kind of in the beginning of SG1, Stargate SG1. I'm like halfway into season 2, and it's similar, right? It's like in that Stargate sort of paradigm, it's the same thing. There are like these nodes that are set up, but it's not just on the Earth with rivers and things like this. It's through the galaxy. It's all over the damn place.
Exactly.
And so
I think I think that's the same case in our universe. Like, I don't think it's just on the Earth. I think it's Indra's web. It connects the entire cosmos. It's that example I tried to give in the after show about like when Tony Stark has like is creating like the new element and has it like really small, and then makes it really big like around his whole body, and it kind of looks like almost like the entire universe and stuff. It's the fractal idea. It's if everything is in one, like it's tough to like find the words to explain what I'm trying to say. But those things from our perspective it could be incalculable distances between those, but on some other plane they're the same. They're on top of each other, laying over each other. And I think those are our water, is rivers, these source waters, these mystical springs, etc. But as far as like everything can be a portal, it's like honestly kind of my pet peeve when it comes to portal stuff. It's like right now in the zeitgeist, the word portal is being used instead of the word haunted. Like there was a show, it's still on, but the first season was like a year or two ago, Portals to Hell on the Travel Channel with Jack Osborne. And essentially, like, I was like pretty pumped when I was coming out. I was like, oh yeah, here we go, portals. Like Thanos was using portals. Like we got portals all over the place. Like portals was hitting the zeitgeist. And then I watch it, and they're just like saying something bad happened in this chair, so this chair is a portal. It becomes a portal.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't believe that to work like that. I think they can be haunted. They can have some kind of latent energy on those things, but I don't think it doesn't open a doorway like in the same way as like Skinwalker Ranch is a doorway. And Skinwalker Ranch is on you go to basin or whatever, and it's the convergence of 6 rivers in that whole area. And it's like the last episode of Portals to Hell, episode 10, was at the Strawberry River Inn, which is a haunted inn across the river from Skinwalker Ranch. So they were like seeing UFOs and stuff too. And like every single episode, at least for the first season, I didn't watch the second season, every single portal that they thought they're finding, like the house or the building or whatever, was next to a river. Every single one. And they didn't make the connection on the show. They didn't mention it once. But like the B-roll footage to start every episode was like an aerial shot in the building right next to a river. I was like, come on, man. Like, how many hours are you spending making the show? You didn't figure out that detail, you know? Well, like, once it clicks, you'll look for it across the board with any kind of paranormal, supernatural stuff. Like, it's all on rivers, you know? Yeah. I'm kind of trailing off, but
you're good.
Really, really awesome stuff, you guys.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Do you have time?
Sorry.
You got time, or you got to go?
I got another minute. Yeah.
Okay, so just real quick, we were talking about the what was it, the masonry and how they built their buildings, like the Freemason structures, on rivers, and we were looking at that over on the East Coast, right? Like, you want to add that real quick before you bounce?
Yeah. I was on Freeman like randomly. I don't know how he even like kind of found me, but this was like 3 years ago at this point maybe, and I was kind of telling my whole river thing, and I hadn't come across this, but he goes, yeah, I think you're right. Every Masonic temple is located on a river. And then Jay was talking about his actually being on the convergence of 2 rivers. Jay from the chat and stuff. And like technology parks and stuff. Go to search on any town you're in, search your Riverside Road and see what's on it. And like, you might have some houses on it. There's probably a suburban area on that road, but I guarantee you, I'll bet you $20 that there is a technology complex, a military complex, an industrial complex, or something that it could be impacting this energy area in some way. Like I think that's what they're doing. They're not like opening portals whole cloth out of thin air. They're landing on the secret information that they're hiding from us. A big chunk of it, I think, is where these natural existing window areas, portal spots, places are located. And the indigenous knew about, the ancients knew about it forever. The early settlers and conquistadors and stuff, they stole that information and they kept it hidden. The Vatican probably has that information hidden stuff. So they kind of have all of these things under their own little custody. Like the more severe ones or the bigger ones, like the big chakra points on the body, would be like more important. But then the much smaller ones that could be just on your finger or whatever, on the earth body, could just be tucked away in a church, tucked away in a reservation area, tucked away. It doesn't matter. Like a library, or like a opera house or something where and then it's there's like, in Lovecraft Country when they have that like the Order of the Ancient Dawn is trying to open their portal at the basement of this house or whatever.
Yeah.
And the guy, they have the orreries, like the planets rotating around each other and stuff, and it just shows like how the planets move in the sky. And it was like really important in the show, the orrery. Like tough to say, but kind of that's what I think is going on. And like, I don't have the answers to how it works, but just something to do with alignments. Like there was one researcher who believes that UFO stuff and paranormal stuff happens when the sky is at the galactic 6 p.m., like not our 6 p.m., but the galactic 6 p.m., which is like measuring time based on how the sky is moving. So so it's right overhead, like it's creating some kind of like, if information is moving through light to be reassembled at the medium of water, then it's where these bodies are aligned together. And you can see the alignment. See, like that's in every pop culture thing. That's all over the place. But for Stargate, just went the last point, and then I definitely have to leave. But so when I say all the time, I think the secret space program is much more Stargate than it is Star Trek, and this is with only having seen the movie and 10 episodes of the show. But the way it's depicted in the show is they're building it, like some ancient race, whatever, built these physical gates and dispersed them across the universe. And you need one gate in order to, like, you need two gates to get to the other side. But I think that's not how it's actually working in reality. In reality, these gates are naturally existing. Perhaps like some kind of god-like entity maybe did this early on. I think this is how just the framework of reality works. Like this is just, I don't know how the building is kept up, basically. And so then on these locations, rather than like Saddam Hussein finding a physical Stargate in Iraq and then maybe like trying to mess with it and doing stuff with it or whatever, I believe he stumbled onto the location of a Stargate. And my personal opinion is he just didn't let the elites use it. The elites, they have them all on lock. They have everybody in their pocket. And then as soon as Saddam's like, no, we're not using gold, and you can't mess with our Stargate. And if their goal is to break the game, they need to mess with every little nodule, And they took them out, and they got that Stargate back. But like, I don't know, I'm really rambling now, so I'll go. But that's kind of I think the difference. It's less like, I don't think it's everywhere. I think there is a framework, but then again, literally anything's possible. I'm open to literally anything. So if the next caller says that can happen everywhere, then I'm down with that too.
Okay. Appreciate
it.
Really
awesome stuff. Great show, Mike. Great stuff, James. I'll see you on Saturday. And awesome stuff, guys.
Thanks, man. Derek in Massachusetts.
Sure. Yeah.
Have a great night, brother. He's again, he works in a grocery store at night, so he's listening to us, and so he peels off a break, and he calls in on his break. So thank you for again being enthusiastic about this, Derek, being super knowledgeable, and being able to share and spend your time with us. Like I always say, like he could literally just be resting, chilling, Like he'd be like, no, I just don't feel like it tonight. He calls in, he wants to share. This stuff is important, and he had some good points there, right? So interestingly, that the rumor is that Saddam Hussein had found a physical Stargate in Iraq, but interestingly, isn't that the Fertile Crescent is literally, what is it? It's between two rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates, right? So interestingly, so if that's the case, and it's not necessarily like a physical thing, it's actually a point in geography, right? Maybe between these two rivers, as they call it, the Fertile Crescent, and even call it like the dawn of civilization, human civilization here, is that not just we have possibly the conjunction of these two rivers as they flow out into the sea here, but maybe there's also some sort of ley line conjunction, kind of adding to that. What do you think, James?
As always, my mind is kind of reeling after all those points that it makes so well. But I agree with him on that. Portals can be, especially in entertainment and the TV shows, they can be overused. The term can be overused. Like he was talking about how some people think that there's a portal in every location where a bad thing happened. Even if it's like not that anything is, this is going to sound weird, but even if it's like just one bad thing that is minor compared to, massive world events. I don't know how to say that without that sounding cold, but I agree. I don't think every bad event causes a portal. Then they really would be everywhere.
Like everywhere, every freaking where, yeah.
Everywhere.
I'm with him. I agree with what he's saying is, just because a doll's haunted, it doesn't make that portal. It's something is stuck. There's an entity that's attached to that object, and that object can be moved. So if you can physically just grab a portal and move it, it's not a portal anymore, is it? It's something else. So I'm with him. I kind of agree with his thought there and his analysis on this. And of course, right, if you're talking portals, who better to talk to than Derek the Night Stalker? So absolutely, right.
He mentioned he's going to be on my I'm doing a special stream this Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern with him on it. I'm going to be talking with him, doing an interview. So we'll be hearing more of that on my server, my Discord server. So that'll be a lot of fun.
There you go. More Derek. And this is the thing, right? So he doesn't have his own podcast yet. Maybe he will someday. We're hoping that he will. But if he can't, then what we'll do is we'll host Derek as much as possible, and we're grateful he's sharing his ideas with us. So, and that's the idea, right? We get together and we throw out what seems to make sense. And in this case, we're talking about portals. We're talking about ley lines. We're talking about the conjunction of like the sacred waterways, or the what did he call it? What's the water? The water source. What is it?
That was it. Source water, I think.
Source water. Yeah, source water, exactly. And so that's what I'm saying, right? There's a lot of this that maybe is part of what's happening here, and people don't notice. And so oddly enough, we were talking about this one night, Derek and I, and James was in the chat afterward, because after this show, typically we'll get together and a bunch of us and just kind of just chop it up and talk about weird stuff. But what we were talking about this in particular, and we kind of just thrown out the idea of that, hey, let's go pick up James and look what's going on the the waterways up near Detroit up there is it Lake Michigan, right? Am I correct there, James?
I'm not sure. I'm terrible with that, but yeah, definitely Michigan here. I mean, and there's any number of lakes, big ones even. I mean, the Great Lakes surround Michigan, so.
Yeah. And so we were talking about just Jay from New York was in the chat, and we were just kind of talking about the Freemasonry and their buildings when they put these Masonic temples on in particular waterways. And so we started checking. We're like, okay, look, we've never been there, but let's pull open a map and look. And sure as shit, right? Like on this particular waterway that was just off Lake Michigan, I'm pretty sure it was like church after church after church.
Yeah.
There was a Masonic temple, and there was another church and another church and another. And we're like, oh snap, something doesn't seem right here. So anyway, that's what we're talking about tonight. Kind of these weird conjunctions in the world. How are these portals built? Are they natural occurrences? Is it a different thing if you can open or conjure a portal? Very much like it's been said in lore that what's his name, Crowley opened a portal by Loch Ness and tried to leave it open, right? So that whole bit. So I don't know, and I think that's the thing. I guess it depends on how deep you get into this and how far you want to go down this rabbit hole, But yeah, for sure. I've got some scientific information too regarding portals. So lest you go, you guys are nuts. What are you even talking about? I've got some actual science to back up the portal idea here that we'll get to in the last segment. But we're going to take a quick break in just a minute, James. So anything else before we take a break?
One other thing to consider, because I have experience with this myself, is the possibility of power grids. Power systems possibly being good places for spirits to use as portals.
Interesting. Which is like why you get lights flickering or something, and when they say a house is haunted, they're trying to maybe communicate through the power grid itself.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, let's get back to that as soon as we come back. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We are here with James Salsido of Salsido Paranormal Podcast. Please check him out. He streams Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and he talks about, that's right, the paranormal. And he's got a special episode this Saturday with Derek the Night Stalker. Check it out. There you go. More Troubled Minds with Mike and James after the break. Don't go anywhere, guys. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we're here with James Salsido of SalsidoParanormal Podcast, and we're talking about portals, spirit portals. We're talking about rivers. We're talking about thresholds, conjunctions. We're talking about ley lines and all the rest of this, and we want your thoughts. If you want to be part of the show tonight, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can join the show on Discord as well by clicking the link at troubledminds.org. The phone number is there as well. And what are your thoughts on this? Like I said, I got some scientific info coming up that back up the idea of portals, and it's from NASA. You got it, NASA itself. We'll get to that in just a bit, but we're looking to hear from you. One more time, 702-957-1037. And we're streaming on Rock Fan D Live, YouTube, and of course, Twitter. We got a phone call coming in. Anything else? Say hi, James. Tell everybody something else other than the Ouija board.
No more Ouija board? Ah, man.
No, put that away.
But no, it's great to be here. Great to hear from you all, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the show.
All right, we got a phone call. Let's go to the phone call. I'm not sure exactly who this is. Looks like, is this JR? JR, welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
Hello, sir. Appreciate you taking my call. I'm great. How about yourself?
Doing well. Pleasure's ours, my friend. Go right ahead. What are your thoughts on this portal stuff? Do you think there's something to this, or do you think we're a little bit out there?
Definitely out there. So many thoughts. To begin, I think there's so many different types of portals. It's hard to really wrap your head around it, but the malevolent, like the demons, the ones that are out there, for lack of a better term, they try to attract people that are weak, and they'll attach themselves, and potentially it could manifest. And I think that could kind of exist anywhere. You allow your mind to be at a low vibrational state. You attract some type of malevolent force. You could potentially not necessarily become possessed, but become tricked. Like that's, if that makes any type of sense. But, as for more portals, I had heard one of the gentlemen talk about conquistadors in the past finding portals or something. It's interesting to me, though, all the different churches and areas, and just the ambiance that's created around a lot of them. It's definitely a little interesting. Now, I have a story about my mother. She was cruising to Albuquerque to Santa Fe. They're in the movie industry. This was several years back. They do big hours, the Teamster Union, and her husband's a part of the own the transportation department, so they're in charge of all the picture stuff, cars. Well, they're moving all night, every night. And in May, they do a ceremony for the Santo Domingo. It's in between San Felipe and Santo Domingo. They do a ceremony for the feast, and during the ceremony, they release a lot of the spirits into the desert. And we didn't know any of this at the time, but my mom was driving through the desert in the middle of the night, and she encountered a spirit jumping into her car. And apparently it looked like, if she had black construction paper, she said it looked kind of like a wolf that moved like a jackrabbit. She screamed at it, told it to get out of her car. I thought that was pretty interesting. Her friend that was trying to invite her to go eat at the feast day said, "Hey, this is what's going on." Well, wow, it's in May. And she told her the story. Said, "Oh, hey, well, we open, that's basically like the portals. We open them at the time, and we release the spirits." So one of the evil, one of the more naughty ones probably jumped into your car to try to go home with you. So I thought that was kind of
rude.
Interesting.
Rude. That's what that is. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now I don't remember if you the story had talked about the Ladrone Peak, and I went back out there, and it has a different feel to it. Now, blow up the caves with dynamite. One thing I had left out about the story, the two gentlemen, one was geologist, studying the Roxy environment. The other was the security guard of the campus that his friend had been, attending. He had carried the 9mm that he unloaded at the figure that was approaching him, that they swear to this day that appeared, there, that could have come possibly from Portal or from the laboratory, miles away. But I too genuinely think that there are portals. There's definitely spirits. I know Mr. Gable talks a lot about the mirrors, and that being a big, contributor. I've had a big mirror, next to my bed in my son's room in one of the homes, I have. We're right next door to each other, and I couldn't even begin to explain some of the activity that we've had. But real quick, I know I'm on big rant, and your listeners are probably like,
no, you're fine. You're
this
fine.
guy's
You're
funny.
okay.
But I have another interesting story to tell you.
Sure.
Considering it's October, and it's cool. So I grew up downtown Santa Fe, working the restaurants when I was 16 years old. I had actually told David Salazar I was 18 when I was 16. He gave me a job. He was Lacoste. Uncle, good friends of mine. I had got the gig, been doing my thing there for about 8 months. We would slice the wine corks in not in half, but in a cheese triangle to wedge underneath the tables because of the old adobe structure being so old. Okay, the tables would shake, and the $50 glasses of the $100 glasses of wine would spill. So we had to be very meticulous about it. One night, I could never forget it. There was a party of about four people that I could sit down and draw you a very detailed picture of. And very, very interesting characters. They had very, very cool jewelry. It was one guy and these three women. Now, the man and the woman seemed to have relationship, like married. I was bussing the table, not really talking to them, but just I was a busser, I was a young kid. And one of the women I had noticed made comment, like older women, oh, what a cutie, like if I was younger, just kind of ignoring it, but kind of like, they're nice, whatever. We go about my deal. We were funny kids. I had my pal of mine, like I said, Lacoste, his uncle owned the joint. So we thought we were cool. We would pour the wine. The older ladies would buy expensive bottles of wine. So we would take what they had left over when we were younger, and we'd pour it in a cup and chill at the end of the night and sit there, Well, this night was different. I had wrapped up. They had stayed late, and I was waiting for them to leave because I had to do roll-ups. I had to clean up, and I wanted to leave. And even though I had lived right down the street, with the family. This was off Canyon Road. This was El Farol, the old watering hole of a lot of old cowboys, and Well, anyways, these people began to leave. Not much of a mess. I began to clean, and the ladies giggled, like kind of a hackle. They're older, and they tried to talk, and it just, made their way out. Didn't think too much of it. Okay, they were older ladies. They got to the car, which was right across the street off Canyon Road. They get to the parking lot, which was clear across. Now, my family had actually owned property right down there, close, and it was just this interesting area, and not much light. But I'm looking out there because I was just so ready for them to leave. And those women that were older women, as if they had just walked through a portal, had become super sexy. They were young. They had become young women, and they left. And they looked at the restaurant and they laughed. And I saw them leave. And it was yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's wild. That is wild. JR's told us some amazing stories, and yeah, I don't know. So what's your theory there? Is that some sort of witchcraft? Is it your perception? Do they alter your perception? Do you think they did pass through a portal? What actually happened
there's
there?
A lot of talk of a lot of brujos in the area, but I think it just has to, that may have been Yeah, a brujo, but I definitely feel like portals are everywhere.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
Everywhere.
Fair enough.
And I do believe that maybe there were secrets. The conquistadors could have had secrets in these temples, these areas that are well kept. Now, I don't know if you've spent much time. I was in the cathedral downtown Santa Fe a couple days ago, and why are there so many cameras? Why is there what is the deal? What is the issue? And it's like that at a lot of those places, and I get they're old and this and that, but could have these portals you've been able to go and you're able to go to another realm, another dimension, transport goods. Could you can move the gold to one area to other, could the other light form come and, make deal and how, I just think there's a lot of thought that, can go into it. But as Mr. Bell said, after, the body dies, definitely the conscious mind survives. And I definitely was a skeptic for the longest time until I've had my own paranormal encounters, which, whew, crazy, Mr. Strange.
That'll change your mind fast, won't it? JR, you're the best. I got to let you go, man. We got a couple calls behind you. They've been waiting a bit.
Absolutely. I appreciate you allowing me to talk. Thank you so much for the show and always having great information to listen to and, to educate and entertain.
You got it, brother.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for contributing. Have a fantastic night. That's JR, guys. All right, so we got Matt and we got Jennifer on the line. Let's go to Matt. We're going to keep on trucking. We got phone calls. Let's knock them out. What's up, Matt in California? Welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
Good. How's it going, Mike?
A-okay. You got it. You know what's going on, man.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Pleasure's ours, man. Go right ahead. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, my first thought, a theory, it's a little deep, but I don't think we talked about this yet, is it's what if every woman, every female you've ever met is actually like a walking portal, because you come, through that, you're born, from life, from before into life, you come through that. What do you think about that?
Interesting, and that it's like the channel of life, where life is derived. Yeah, I can follow that. So what's the idea there? Do you think that maybe that's why, for some bizarre reason, witches are more prevalent in history than warlocks? They weren't. We can talk about blaming women for the ills of the world, right, in the old days, but do you think there's something to that? Not to be misogynistic here, let's be very careful about where we go with this.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of religions worship females, and I think it's just a saying, where would you be without your mom? So
yeah, nowhere.
Think about that.
Literally, somewhere, not here. That's for damn sure, right? Definitely not here.
Yeah. So I'm gonna share a story from when I was a kid.
Sure.
And I didn't know back then what it was, but back when I was a kid, this is my friend's house that it was like super haunted. Anyways, he had an older brother, and he was older, and he was going through puberty. And when you go through puberty, there's like all kinds of emotions, and your emotions are kind of everywhere, right? And you're going through the things, right? And it was weird. So I go to his room, and typical teenager room, posters and garbage everywhere. But it was weird. They go into his room, and there's these black dots on the wall. I call them dots. I don't want to call them orbs. They were on the wall, and they kind of reminded me of like Looney Tunes, like the black holes in Looney Tunes, the black hole where they could stick it on the wall and then they could reach through and grab something out of it. And it was weird. They were like spreading. Like, first there was only one, and then it would come to two, then it would come to three, and then they would go like up on the ceiling and everything. And I wonder, and I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't like paint like on the walls, like how you think it, like they were like over posters and stuff too. And they like moved. They not spiral, but they kind of like bounced up and down. Like I seen them moving. Like they weren't on the wall, they were like above the wall. And so I'm wondering if like people like if you have like emotions and you're like shooting out your emotions, or very like, you know, when you, I don't know how to say it, like when you're going through puberty, you're like, your emotions are everywhere. I wonder if people can like create portals with their mind and like not even know they're doing it.
Oh, I see. Sort of a like just maybe stress or some sort of like human impact kind of creates like a bounce back, like the human psyche pushes back, and as a way of doing that, it's opening gates to somewhere. I like the idea, man. I do know, I'll tell you this, and I'm sure you're with me, that puberty sucked. There's a whole bunch of BS going on there, right? Like you thought you had it all figured out every other day, and every other day everything changed. Oh well, what can we do? Yeah, I like the idea, man. Is that by accident, right? Like maybe strife, maybe anguish, maybe trauma, maybe these things can able through some sort of human condition be able to push back and open things up. I like the idea. Very, very good stuff, man. You're I'm not going to say on the level because that would be weird, but I think you're right in the vein of what we're talking about tonight. Great stuff. Expanding the conversation, which is what this is all about. What else you got, my friend?
That was it. I'm going to go. Run out of time to let Jennifer go if she wants to go. So thank you guys. Have a good night.
Appreciate the call. Matt in California, you're the best. Always great stuff. A couple ways to look at it. And so his point about women being a portal, right? Check this out. We have, let's see, who said this? Who said this in the chat? That kind of snapped that into focus for me, is that like the tree of life, right? It's that sort of thing. Go ahead, James. What's your take on the last couple of calls there? We got Jennifer on deck here, but go right ahead.
Yeah. And some of those articles mentioned the idea that people can be portals. So that's definitely, I think, a possibility. So, and great stuff as always. Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah, we are blessed that we've accumulated a fantastic group of folks that has an open mind and be able to kind of look at these things from different angles. So great stuff. Thank you for all the great calls. What's up, Penny? I see you in the chat. All right, let's go to Jennifer. Jennifer in Missouri. Welcome to the show. How you doing tonight?
Hey, you guys are doing, this is awesome tonight. Everybody's just bringing up so many important things when you're talking about something like this. It's so hard to talk about. And everyone's just doing an amazing job talking about it and explaining it to people.
Thank you. I agree. We have an embarrassment of riches from all the folks, the fine folks that call in, including yourself. I'm sure you've got some mind-bending things of your own.
I'm going to just have a couple of points that I was thinking about. People are often thinking about, windows, gates, doorways, basically anything like that. Windows, doors, primarily. And why do these, people see things out their windows or in doorways. Very often they'll see like a spirit or a shadow being go by, what they perceive to be like that, or they'll see something outside their window. That I've heard encounters like that. I've had encounters like that. And you wonder, why are they just hanging on that side? Why aren't they coming through? And we assume it's got to do something with, and it does. I think the mind itself, we know that when you create any kind of space, and the fact with like most houses and most properties, there are gates and things like that. When you cross through that threshold, I think that the mind, it kind of resets itself because it's entered another domain. So it's taking the new thing it's seeing all in. So we recognize those portals ourselves on a psychological level because they're there. Like if I come from one room of my house, or anybody goes from outside their house to inside their house, they're in a different space entirely. And I think that these beings, not just any beings, and I think that's important to clarify too, because it's just my theory. Well, not really my theory. In part, some of this is folklore too. That goes back, as long as as long as you can go back by looking. And when you're talking about these certain elementals and these certain types of beings that are typically described as being supernatural beings to the extreme, but they don't live in another dimension per se. They live right here with us. But they have other worlds they're living in that are right here with our own, but they belong here. And these types of beings are the ones I'm kind of talking about that people experience. They're often responsible for a lot of mischief and trouble people have, and very extreme things too, even death. You know, some people have accidentally had, you know, really bad encounters with some of these beings, supposedly. The reason I think that they can't go through those portals, those doorways or windows, or why people see them many times outside of them, is if they have an ill intent towards the inhabitants there. There's a certain amount of rule going on about what you can do. They don't necessarily have to leave their powers at the door, so to speak, to enter, but they can't come with a malevolent intent. If there's an intent to, for example, cause extreme havoc, and now this applies to, you know, why it might be difficult to cross from one room to another room, but I'm not talking about spirits, I'm not talking about ghosts or anything like that, but just these types of elementals, why they won't cross thresholds. If they have a positive, you know, if they have a neutral intent or no harm intended, I think they can. And I think that's why people encounter them sometimes or see them. And then I think when you go into things like, why are they under the bed? Other types of beings, or maybe the same beings even. Why are they under the bed? Why are they in closets? Why are they in dark basements, attics, places like that? I think it's because the light and the dark and these spectrums of a frequency of being in a dark space, absence of any kind of light frequency, for extended periods of time, like under the bed, it doesn't get light forever, unless you actually get down and shine a flashlight underneath. It will always remain shaded under there. The same will apply many times with closets, and the same with attics and basements, caves, things like that. And I think that they hang under there because they're transporting somehow through the dark itself. And for some reason they avoid the light. And I don't know I don't know why. But that could be exactly why they're in these spaces that never get much exposure to light, and that's why it's a good idea to move your furniture frequently. I mean, some people have said. But that's possibly why. Because they're traveling through the dark spectrum, through the spectrum of just the absence of light. And I also think that there's the other thing I was going to mention as far as like, why do we experience seeing, like when people see spirits? I think that's a sort of portal in itself too, and that has to do with the orifices of the body, like the eyes or the ears or any other. But anyway. You'll experience, I think, seeing spirits, it could be, and this is actually just a theory, that if it's a spiritual attachment of sorts, like you've attached a spirit to yourself by mistake or intentionally or possibly unintentionally, but if you have a spirit, like some other type of spirit, that they're being perceived by being heard or seen a lot of times because of the portals of, the pineal gland in the center of the brain is often seen as the doorway to the soul. People talk about that, or to some kind of a seeing, on a level that normally, like the third eye, a seeing on a level that you might not normally see, and that might be the case is because what was mentioned previously, that we could personally be a type of portal in a way, just because of the nature of it. But that's kind of just all I wanted to bring to the table with it. And a lot of times I think that these are possibly elementals. People see them outside their windows and everything. They may have ill intent and they can't come through if that's how they're feeling in a lot of cases. But there are other beings that if you somehow have invited them or unknowingly have, done something, like created a portal yourself, because people, then that's a whole other thing with that too, that there's some type of, there's magic you can do to open portals or open windows or doors through to the other side. And then on the natural landscape, of course, with the water.
Yeah.
And the caves and the mounds and stuff. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So notably, we are coming up on Halloween here. Everybody knows the legend of Sleepy Hollow, right? The Headless Horseman. So what happens is Ichabod Crane tries to get across the bridge because there's that natural break, that waterway. And infamously, the headless horseman throws the flaming pumpkin at him because he can't cross. And there does seem to be something with this in folklore for a very, very long time. And I do like how you're kind of differentiating between spirits and sort of like elementals as nature spirits, right? As they're two different things, aren't they?
Yeah, and I love that. Sleepy Hollow. The movies, the books, all of it. It's a great story. Headless Horseman. Totally Halloween. With the pumpkin and whatnot.
Yeah, totally.
Or I guess his head in one instance. I don't know.
It was in his head? Nice. Even better.
Great stuff.
Even better. All right, cool. Anything else?
Great show tonight.
Thank you.
Just a really good topic to be covering that, people are so nervous about, like, covering this stuff kind of because it sounds kind of, it's pretty out there. It's wild, but I'm glad we're doing it.
Agreed.
Here with Mike Strange. It's nice.
I agree.
You guys have a good night.
Thanks for calling in. By the way, before Jennifer leaves, follow Jennifer's channel. Go down the links below on Rockfin on YouTube. Jennifer has a YouTube channel. She's sharing ideas and thoughts on very much similar things we talk about. Thanks, Jennifer, for calling. Have a fantastic evening. We'll talk to you soon.
You too. Good night.
Thanks
Bye.
a lot.
Bye, James.
Thanks a lot. Good night. All right.
Bye. Good night.
James, what's the hot take on that? So we're not on the fringe, so we don't have to kind of create like some weird break at the end. We can just keep on talking. So we'll take our break in a natural spot here. So we'll let you respond to those calls, and then we'll take our break after that. What do you think, man? What are your thoughts here on Matt and Jennifer's calls?
I think they're onto everything. I think they're right. They're definitely. Seems like they're right and seems possible, and I don't know. My mind is kind of just reeling again, but I love this. Definitely, portals I think can be for a number of different things. I wonder too if JR mentioned that there are different kinds of portals. I wonder if different kinds of portals are specifically for different kinds of beings. Some cases.
Yeah, kind of like that, just like Jennifer was describing, right? That differentiation somehow between like the spirit world and like the elemental world. Like there's definitely two different things there. Yeah. So maybe actual spirits are using a port, like again, different types of portals. Who knows? As JR was saying there too, like there are different types of portals. Sometimes that people have, like he described those the older women that just kind of went outside and were laughing and making jokes the whole time, and then suddenly they were young, right? They were right. They changed. So what was it? What's going on with that? Is that like a sort of the Jedi mind trick, or is there like a portal thing that they crossed through? Who knows, man? Like the pretty weird stuff here, right?
Yeah. I also think I mentioned this during the last break. I think there can be certain man-made devices can also be portals at times. We can get into that in the next section, but I think that's a thing that can happen. I think I've had experiences of that here in my own home. So I'd definitely like to get into that maybe next.
Yeah, cool. Okay, cool. So let's say hi to the chat, and then we'll take a quick break here. Any chat you picked out that maybe you want to talk about? I'll go to Rockfin and say hi over there, and give you the first crack at this if you've been reading it.
I've been looking here and there, and nothing really that I remember, but just it's all great. It's all. I do remember. There was one thing. Of course, it was from Night Stalker. He said humans are a portal between the imagination realm and the physical world, and ideas have to go through us. I think that's a really interesting idea. I like that.
Yeah, for sure. Tam's got a question. Tam Bam in over on Rockfin. She says, Ouija boards, portal or conduit? What's your take on that?
As usual, I don't know for sure. I think it could probably be both, depending on the situation, depending on the way someone is using it, depending on their intent, or I think it could be either one.
Okay, I'm with you there because, actually, Tam adds to that. Tam Bam says, But if you let go of the Ouija board before you're supposed to say goodbye, then the spirit comes through. So there's like that whole process where you're supposed to close it off, right? You're supposed to kind of shut that doorway. So I wonder if that is right. Maybe it could be both. Interesting. I dig it. All right, so lots of good chat here. Let's say hi to the folks that I didn't get a chance to say hello to. What's up, Penny? Thanks for showing up. Everybody follow the Curious Bunny on YouTube. Who else is here? LNFF, what's up? Says, what's the Discord link? I'll join. Discord link, just go to troubledminds.org. We have it all. There's a link right on top. I'll get you a link as well. I'll tap it in. What's up, Show Me Sasquatch? I see you there. Who else is here? Thank you for the great call, Jennifer. Let's see. Who else did I miss? What's up? Austin's here. Austin's in the Discord chat. How you doing, buddy? Who else is here? Eli says both conduit and portal. There it is, right? Both. Let's see. Obi says, yep, both. Let's see. Matt says, thoughts are just energy before they come out of our minds. Oh.
I like that too.
Oh, good stuff. What's up, Dacone710? Where's my penny? What's up? Okay, let's see. Bailey says, I just realized. Does that mean you're going to stream here? Yeah, talking about Penny's show. Okay, so let's, what else? Anything to add to that before we take a quick break? Lots of good chat, lots of good thoughts here.
I know, just like you said, it's been great calls so far too. Always
exactly right. That's what this show's about. Like I said, I say it only 1/3 joking or 2/3 joking. I'm sorry. Is that you guys call and save my ass every night, right? Like I could yammer on about what Michael Strange thinks, but you see how rich the conversation becomes when we add James, when we add Derek, we add JR, we add all the people, right? You add all the people. You add Matt, you add Jennifer, you add all the folks who called into it, right? Yeah, and we end up with a much more rich conversation, and that's what this is about. It's about respecting people. It's about sharing ideas, and it's about talking about things that you're not allowed to talk about. And by the way, because of that, it puts us way the hell ahead of everybody. Where the hell do you get conversations like this, by the way? James, any idea? You listen to a shit ton of podcasts. I try to. I don't get enough. But any other conversation is comparable?
There's really nothing like this. There really is not much like this that I've ever found.
There it is. Freeman, maybe? Freeman? Not really. I don't know.
I don't know. It's just as far as I've heard, nothing where the guests can talk for as long as we can talk here.
Yeah.
Actually, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, agreed. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break, so let's do what we do normally top of the hour here. So like I said, we're not on Fringe, so we're not like super stuck on a radio schedule. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick 2-minute break, and we're still taking your calls. We're talking about portals tonight, not just regular sort of thresholds, doorways, those types of portals, maybe windows. We can add mirrors into the mix if you want to do that. Talking about rivers and conjunctions and ley lines and all the rest of this. And of course, well, having a lot of fun. It is the month of October, halfway to Halloween almost, so we're doing our thing, hanging out, talking about amazing stuff. So if you want to be part of the show, we're still taking your calls, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. 2-minute break, more Troubled Minds on the way. I'm Michael Strange. We're here with our good friend James from Salsido Paranormal, and more portals and you coming up. Don't go anywhere. right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I am your host, Michael Strange. We are here with our good friend James Salsido of SalsidoParanormal podcast, and we're just chopping it up. We're into the third hour now, and we're still taking your phone calls as we talk about portals. We're talking about conduits. We're talking about maybe conjunctions in rivers and these sorts of things, ley lines. How does all this work? We're looking for theories. We're looking for your ideas, and we're looking for a good conversation, as usual, right? Looking for just some ideas. We got some lots of fantastic calls already, but we have time for you. If you want to be part of the show, one more time, give us a call at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And we're just kind of hanging out, doing our thing, kicking it with friends and talking about wild and crazy stuff. So, James, you said you had something you wanted to get into as we kept on trucking tonight. What was that topic again?
Oh, the idea that that spirits can use electronics to either to pass through and to manifest, or just along those lines. I have in the back of my apartment in my backyard, even though it's not really much of a yard, is one of those larger they're like power boxes, but they're in the ground, like a cement foundation around it, and every so often I sense energy in the area, not outside of the like. I don't usually sense energy from the device itself, but sometimes I'll get a weird feeling from the space right behind my apartment, out of nowhere. There's someone there, and I don't know what it is, but I've had that feeling too many times to write it off.
That's a little bit creepy. So what's going on then? So is it? So what's there? What do you think it is? Is that not a person? Clearly, right?
I don't know if it's people or not. I think it may just be a place where spirits can kind of use energy there to move back and forth between places. I have one story that may tie to that. I'm not sure. It's real fast. It happened when I first moved into this apartment about 15 years ago now. But there was one night where I was just sitting in here on one of my older computers, and I started hearing talking, just two voices talking. And it was coming from the front of my apartment. But then it passed through to my apartment. It was just the sounds. It was just an elderly couple, man and a woman. And I don't remember what they were saying now, but it was like they were just having a pleasant conversation as they were walking or moving through the area. And I literally tracked it. I listened the whole way as they moved from the front to the back of the apartment. And they were heading in the direction of two things. First, that power box in the ground. Second, after that, beyond my place is basically a nursing home.
Oh, that's interesting. So that's definitely.
Don't know
if there's a portal somewhere, right? Like you got to expect. Like I said, I've worked in hospitals in the past, and there are nurses who tell me not to go to particular areas by myself, things like this. Mm-hmm. They're like, well, you can, but I don't recommend it. They're like, every time I go back there, nobody goes back there for these particular reasons, and there's things happening, right? And people pass away in hospitals, and the same thing with nursing homes. It's definitely one of those spots mm-hmm. where you have that one of those I guess it wouldn't be a natural threshold. It would be sort of like a man-made threshold. Like the building's there, mm-hmm. that's where the people are. A lot of people pass away in that particular area. Interesting. And so we're talking about maybe there's a connection with the electrical grid of sorts. Maybe there's some kind of connection between the two, right? Is that what you're saying here?
Yeah, I think it's possible. Don't know how to explain it, but it's just the things line up too well,
Yeah, it's not only that too. It's basically one of those things where you're like to me. It seems to make sense because we've talked about so in the old days, think about like the old school ghost stories, right? It was like people would see things, this is before technology and before the internet and all the rest of this, and they tell these stories around like a campfire sort of situation, right? And so as we've described, it's like, let's say you saw a particular, I don't know, like a nature spirit, an elemental, or you saw maybe a trickster spirit, or who knows, again, like it's sloppy the way people sort of quantify these things. But let's just say you saw something. And then you pass on that idea through word of mouth, through the oral tradition, and these things kind of go through generations. And we've talked about them in the past as such as instead of like kind of passing them on through that oral tradition, you're actually passing on and giving more life to the spirit or whatever it happens to be, right? And so as a result of that, it meaning in the old days that's how it was done, but now. Is it possible, like you're describing, for maybe electronics and to be haunted themselves, right? Because they have that actual like electronic connection between, you could travel electronically across the world in a snap. We're doing it right now, broadcasting all around the damn world right now, electronically in a snap. And so the question is, which turns into a whole nother show, by the way, which we've done in the past. Maybe we'll add that to the mix this month. But can the internet and electronic devices through that electrical grid, the worldwide electrical grid, be haunted in some way? That's a hell of a question, isn't it?
Yep. I think it's possible.
Yeah. And so something going on with that. So what? Anything else with that happening behind your place? Anything else you can describe to us that maybe makes you think it's not just people?
Nothing really. The only other thing that happened wasn't outside, but it was through my electronics. And I'm not sure if I've told that on the show or not before. Maybe it was in the after show. But there was this one night where I was here at home. I was awake, and I started getting this feeling like I needed to shut down my computer and my internet. And basically unplug them. At least the internet, I needed to unplug it so that it would not be on. And it was it was a bad feeling, like something bad was going to be coming. It was on its way, and if I didn't unplug the router, it was going to basically end up here.
Oh shit!
And kept on getting these feelings. The first one time, I just thought I must be. I have to. People that don't know, I am a sci-fi writer. I've written fiction now for years, and I mean, I could maybe write off one time as just my imagination, firing off for whatever reason. I kept on coming back until eventually I said, "Okay, I'm just gonna do it." I unplugged everything. And all this time, the sense of something coming was just getting stronger and stronger. I unplugged the internet, and I just basically I wasn't online the rest of that night. And I felt the mood change around me, like something was not happy. It was like mad that I had, unplugged my internet. And eventually it passed on, and I fell asleep, and everything was fine the next day.
Yeah, so the weirdness there, now think of it this way, and I'll get to what Derek just said in a sec, because holy smokes. But so imagine this. So let's say you unplugged the internet, right? And so the cord, it's still, right, it still comes into your where do you live, into your residence, right? So that's another like entirely other conversation when it comes down to is the internet haunted? Can electronic devices be haunted through that electrical circuit that's running through them? But that cord still comes into your place. So the question is, even if you unplug it, do you think maybe spirits are like freewheeling and dealing and just running through the world through these internet connections, plugged in or not? What do you think about that? Ow!
I think it's possible. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I don't know. Again, thoughts come as these conversations kind of go. Never considered that. Like, okay, so what if you unplug things, right? Usually, like when you unplug an electronic device, there's sort of like a latent charge in there. that stays, right? And it kind of takes a while for that to actually dissipate. So, there's some of those horror tropes with ghosts and stuff is when you unplug the device, right? Like you unplug the TV and it does stuff, right? Things like this.
Right.
So I wonder if once the power comes out, if it's a thing or if it's not a thing. Pretty crazy stuff. Yeah, lots of great stuff here. And again, we're taking your phone calls, guys. We're in the third hour, so this is when we kind of get sloppy, meaning just we can kind of come off the narrative just a little bit. And it's more important to hear from you. What are your thoughts on all the things we've talked about tonight? We're discussing portals. We're discussing supernatural, paranormal type portals. And again, right, talking about rivers, conjunctions, things like this, thresholds, doorways, under the bed. Why is all this a thing? And not only that, what else do you think? What else have we missed? Matt had a great idea saying women are portals, meaning that without your mother, where would you be? The tree of life, the portal to life. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on this in particular? And as we continue talking about this, you tell me. Love to hear from you. Phone number is 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037, and we'll put you on the show. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. And actually, I promised to get a Discord link in the chat, so let me do that real quick. We'll do this. There we go. All right. So Discord link is in the chat if you guys want to join us. I know many of you have, but if you guys have not, there you go. There's an easy one-click thing. Remember, Discord is not spyware. It's just it's a chat client. It's a voice client. It's a way to get together and kind of like an old school chat room. And also we do voice. So we, like James and I are actually on Discord right now doing the show. So but you want to sing the praises of Discord for a little bit, James? It's amazing, isn't it?
It really is. I would never have expected to be able to do my entire show just on Discord.
Exactly.
A bot. That's the only thing I had to add to it was a bot that Mike recommended to me, and it works. And yeah, I love it.
And it works. It's good stuff. And by the way, I'm still looking into the thing to get your stuff on YouTube, so I'll let you know as soon as I get an idea. I'm still looking into it. I haven't found a great option yet, but I will. Yeah, no problem, man. Glad to help. Okay, so that's what we're doing tonight. Taking your phone calls. If you guys want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037, troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. I just put it in the chat as well. And I don't know. I think there's a lot here. There's a lot to talk about. Now, let's do ley lines, actually. So actually, I actually promised, let's do this first. I promised this. Now, there's a scientific... NASA has actually described portals as being a scientific thing. So I'm going to link this in the chat, read just a little bit about this, and this is wild. This is one of those ones where you're like, okay, so portals in particular, like the more you kind of stretch it and say supernatural stuff, this, that, the other thing, you could smack your forehead and go, come on, Michael Strange, like how the hell did we get here, right? It's like, fine, sure. Like, as always, I don't know the answers to these things, okay? We're discussing the possibilities and, like I always say, drinking a bunch of the maybe juice, considering if this is real or not, and I leave it up to you. You make up your own mind. But check this out as just an example of why this stuff isn't like super just woo-woo garbage. Look at this. This is from, yep, you guessed it, nasa.gov. Not that they really, legitimize anything, if we're being honest, but this is an article called, right? Right? It also stands for never a straight answer, by the way. But anyway, so this is science. This is from July 2nd, 2012. Hidden portals in Earth's magnetic field. All right, now check this out. This is wild. Let's read just a little bit of this. A favorite theme of science fiction is the portal, an extraordinary opening in space or time that connects travelers to distant realms. A good portal is a shortcut, a guide, a door into the unknown. If only they actually existed. Now this continues. It turns out they do, sort of. And a NASA-funded research at the University of Iowa has figured out how to find them. Quote, we call them X-points, or electron diffusion regions, explains plasma physicist Jack Scudder of the University of Iowa. Continue, quote, they're places where the magnetic field of Earth connects to the magnetic field of the sun, creating an uninterrupted path leading from our own planet to the sun's atmosphere 93 million miles away. Observations by NASA's Themis, THEMIS, spacecraft and Europe's cluster probes suggest that these magnetic portals open and close dozens of times each day. They're typically located a few tens of thousands of kilometers from Earth, where the geomagnetic field meets the onrushing solar wind. Most portals are small and short-lived. Others are yawning, vast, and sustained. Tons of energetic particles can flow through the openings, heating Earth's upper atmosphere, sparking geomagnetic storms, and igniting bright polar auroras. And there's more to this article, of course, and you guys, I highly recommend you read the entire thing. But there's some science behind this. Like we've talked about this, meaning that if you're talking about just geomagnetic, like that whole business with the Earth, look at that. They're saying that there's like literal, like direct portals from the Earth that open and close sporadically, randomly, periodically throughout the day, and also ones that stay wide, huge, sustained, and open all the way directly to the sun. And so, did you know that, James?
No, but that, you know, I'm starting to think that maybe someday, maybe if we don't know all of it, we will know a lot more about how the paranormal works. All this weird stuff works. Because it seems to be happening a little at a time.
Well, it does seem like it. And once again, right, like we always talk about this in terms of, you know, clearly as people, we can't know everything, all right? That like there's just a universal amount of knowledge that in a lifetime, even standing on the shoulders of giants from generations past, it would take us an unbelievable amount of time to learn everything. So clearly we're operating on a very limited data set, okay, of just knowledge. Even though, and don't get me wrong, humans have done an amazing amount of things, right? Again, like I say, don't get me wrong in that I'm trying to crap on human ingenuity, the human spirit, any of those things. I think those are monumental, fundamental things that will drive us forward and fix the problems, right? I have faith and hope that this is going to be the case. However, we just don't know enough yet, and it's, you know, it stands to reason. By, of course, you know, we can argue one way or the other, but we'll never know all of it. I mean, once again, we've talked about how we kind of aren't meant to know all of it, right? I think that's part of this, but yeah, I don't know, man. Like now, like so NASA, even back in at University of Iowa study, NASA funded, verified there's these geomagnetic portals that are happening. And so what I mean by that, and to make the whole point, to kind of bring it back around to when I started here, this little tidbit is that, at some point, magic is just undiscovered technology, right? And so, well, what is this? I mean, what is this portals, the magnetic fields, go straight to the sun? I mean, some have suggested the sun itself is a huge power source, and that maybe some of these entities that come in and out are using the sun as that power source to sort of create portals, right? So if there's like these geomagnetic portals that go from the Earth to the sun, and some have described the sun itself as being like the power source for maybe, I don't know, like a Stargate sort of system. I don't know, man. Like, does this put us into uncharted territory, or are you super comfortable now? How are you feeling, James?
Well, I'm always uncomfortable whenever large government or corporate agencies are doing almost anything. But it's definitely interesting that they mentioned that. It makes you wonder, figured that out, though. What else have they figured out?
Yeah, well, and how much, I think part of the most frustrating thing about it, like you described, is that how much are they telling us, right? Like how much do they tell us? That's the most frustrating part. It's like, we know the Department of Energy is working on some pretty insane shit, including portals, by the way. What was the guy's name from the Department of Energy? I can't remember his name, but there's a quote where he actually described that we're already sort of probing and working in different realms already, like through, right? I'll try and find that. But there's like he said it. He said it on some talk show, and it was kind of flippantly like, oh yeah, haha. Somebody asked him some dumb question, right? And it wasn't really like a dumb question. It was one of those ones to kind of like, tell us how far this has really gone. And he was like, well, we're there. And they're like, what? He's like, yeah, I mean, we've been doing that. Here, I'll find it. But okay, so I don't know. Like, I think that's the thing here is that, we're talking about energy, and energy as we know it is fine. Earth energy is fine. But I mean, there's like energy, like they say you can tap energy from a black hole. Like, imagine the amount of energy source coming out of a black hole itself would be immense. So like even to the power of our sun is like nothing compared to that. So I don't know. Lots to talk about here. You got some stories you pulled up too. You want to read a quick story while I find this Department of Energy thing? Let's do.
Yeah. Let me just get to the place right. Oh wait, it's already heavy. Yeah. Let me just get to it and.
No sweat. All right, so we're taking your phone calls, guys. Love to hear your thoughts on this. We're talking about paranormal, spiritual portals. Basically, like, what is this? A geomagnetic thing? Is it ley lines? Is it energy? Is it rivers crossing? What's going on with this, and what the hell is up? And we lost James, but we'll get him back in a sec. But I'm going to find this thing. There's like an actual quote by a Department of Energy employee, somebody high up there, that's described in the past that, yes, we're actually already kind of into sort of that Stranger Things type of portal going on. Like, they already know about it. So yeah, let's see. Maybe somebody in the chat knows about this. Let's see. LNFF says portal like a rainbow. Got to be at the right moment. What's up? And let's see. Night Stalker says Rainbow Bridge is a portal in Norse mythology too. There it is. Oh, and by the way, Derek said this a little ways back. He said, by the way, Mike, you're streaming right now. Streaming, just like a river might be streaming. Except, well, it's digitally streaming. And sort of kind of brings us back to that conversation of the haunted internet, right? Like, wouldn't that be the stream for the portals and whatever the hell else is going on? There you go. NASA, not a space agency. There it is. All right. Welcome back, James. Welcome back.
Thank you. I click on one thing, click on another, and then...
boom.
Send myself out of the whole stream.
Amen.
That's what I did.
Yeah, there you go. Chelsea Handler. I knew Derek would know it. Chelsea Handler show. I'll find it. All right, so I'm gonna find that Department of Energy quote, but whenever you're ready, James, we're taking your phone calls, guys. 702-957-1037. You can join the show by clicking the Discord link at troubledminds.org, and we're streaming on Rockfin, DLive, YouTube, and of course Twitter, and just hanging out, talking about weird shit like we always do. And we're here with James of SalsidoParanormal. Check out his podcast. He talks about paranormal stuff 3 times a week, and he's got a 4th show this week on Saturday with Derek of Massachusetts, the Night Stalker. So, okay, I'll find this Chelsea Handler quote from the Department of Energy guy. Ready to go, James? Buy me a minute here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm all set here. So, this is from a website where it has true ghost stories. No, this looks like a long one. Let me see if the other one I have is shorter. Let me see. But you can find stories about ghosts in closets here and there. Check in the other one. But, and I've heard of. The funny thing is, I have one that likes my closet. Someone that likes to just some kind of spirit that will just come and go, and it always stays in my bedroom closet.
You do?
So I don't know. Yeah. We could talk about that if y'all want instead.
Sure. I got this article. I found it. I'm pulling it up right now. So if you want to tell that story, go ahead. So how do you know there's an entity in the closet? And has it reached out to you? How do you know it's there?
Well, it's more of a feeling that I've gotten ever since I moved in here. Mainly at night. And it's like I can just tell there's someone in there. They never do anything. Except a couple of times they've come out and I've seen them as like a shadow figure. Or a shadow. Almost like a person, but like no features. But I don't get a bad feeling from them. It's almost like, I almost wonder if they were here. They've been here for a lot longer than I have in this apartment. And that's just the place they've always stayed. Because I never get any bad feelings from them, whoever it is. But once it gets to me nighttime, all they want is to be left alone. They don't really want. I can be in that room, but It's like they prefer if there's no one else in that room at night. Which, it doesn't bother me because I prefer to be out in my living room. Actually, I have everything set up. My living room is basically my bedroom because I like to be near all my computer and all my other stuff. So it doesn't really bother me, but it's just a feeling. It's so weird.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. Me personally have never had anything like that happen, but like I said, clearly I'm doing this, so I think that this is a thing. I think that this stuff exists. It's out there. It's real. So do you have a way to maybe communicate? Have you tried anything like that? I'm not asking you to bust out the Ouija board, trust me. But like, have you ever tried anything else to maybe communicate with an entity there?
No, not really. Every once in a while, I'll have to walk in like at night and put something in that room. And I always I'd say before I go in there, it's just me. I just need to put something in here. Sorry, I don't mean to bug you. I do that sometimes. Sometimes I'll say it. Sometimes I'll just think it. And there's never been a time where I got a pushback. You know what I mean? So I just go in there and do what I have to do and come back out.
Gotcha. Interesting. Yeah, that to me, like I said, I don't know. Like I've never had something like that happen, but I don't discount the possibility. Thank you, JR, for the generous tip. I appreciate that over on Rockfin. We got starting to get some folks out there listening on Rockfin. Appreciate you guys showing up. Check this out. Ready to blow your mind? Like we were talking about portals all night. Check this out. This is real. This is a real thing. Thank you, Derek, the Night Stalker, for pointing out. I knew you'd know this quote. This is from Insider.com and the Business Insider. It's like another offshoot they do for that. But I linked it in both chats. Check this out. A government official confirms the scariest thing in Stranger Things may actually be real. And so here we go. While viewers the world over have fallen in love with Netflix's original sci-fi series Stranger Things, there's some comfort in the fact that the eerie story is fiction. But what if one of the scariest aspects of the show were real? And this is again back in October 5th, 2016 is when this hit. On Wednesday's episode of Chelsea, host Chelsea Handler had United States Secretary of Energy Ernest Moniz, M-O-N-I-Z, on to discuss the very real threat of climate change. But the host also had something else she wanted to ask the high-ranking government official about the streaming giant's hit. Quote, on Stranger Things, they have a Department of Energy, and they spend a lot of time investigating a parallel universe. What can you tell us about that? Handler asked, referring to the upside down that some of the characters occupy in Stranger Things. And if you saw this live, it was sort of like let's ask him this crazy out there question, right, and see what he says. It was kind of like one of those, like wink, wink, let's ask this question. But listen to what this dude says. Again, he's the works for the Department of Energy, and he's the had United States Secretary of Energy the Secretary of Energy. All right, he says this, quote, I can tell you, first of all, that I have never seen it, but I'm aware of it, Moniz said, talking about Stranger Things. He continues, secondly, I believe this fictional DOE laboratory was operating in the 1980s. You can draw any inference you need to from that. Third, I will note that actually we do work in parallel universes. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. The Secretary of the Department of Energy. Now look, now this is nuts, right? Like, now was he just straight trolling us? I mean, that's like holy shit. Like we're talking about like actual the real upside down. Like, and this guy's saying, so again, the Secretary of Energy, meaning what? What we were talking about energy tonight. We're talking about energy portals. We're talking about, the haunted internet, like kind of this type of thing a little bit. But then you get this and you add this into all of that. And he's basically saying that not only was that fictional thing, the Department of Energy thing, whatever was going on in Stranger Things that opened up that portal to the upside down, he confirms it was a real thing. It was based on a real thing. And then he says, and I can, let me read the quote. It's even better when you read exactly what he says. Third, I will note that actually we do work in parallel universes. Yeah, I got the link. If you guys don't fucking believe me, I've got the link. Check it out. I put it in the chat, so I'm going to put it one more time. Read it yourself. Read it yourself. Like I said, if this guy's trolling us, this is a hell of a troll. But it was one of those questions, like I said, Chelsea Handler kind of asked it like, oh, let's ask him this. This will be funny. But then he answered it like that. And you're like, what just happened?
Wow.
Right?
It's interesting.
All right. So what does that mean? What does that mean, James? Help me. Save me, buddy. Help.
I mean, now the Department of Energy, doesn't that also have to do with like all forms of energy? So that would include like nuclear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Of course, I mean, I don't even know that. I mean, the effects of that can stay around places for years.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's really. I mean, I don't know much about that, but just based on what I've heard, it's really, yeah. That's interesting.
That's bizarre, right? The actual upside down exists. By the way, the Dodgers have just eliminated the Giants from the Major League playoffs, in case anybody cares. And it was a bunk call to end it. It was a check swing that they said it was a swing. It was not a swing. So not that they would have won, but Dodgers win 2-1 and move on. I know nobody cares. They're not here for the sports update, but I've had the game on in the background, and I've vested interest because I'm an A's fan, and Giants fans like to talk a lot of shit, and so I get to say, you're out also. All right. Anyway, yeah, exactly. Matt says that was an umpire's game. See, exactly, I agree. That was a bunt call at the end. That was a no swing, and he called it a swing. Anyway, all right. So I don't know. Thoughts on this now, James? Now that we talked about the Department of Energy and this guy saying, "Oh, by the way, we're working in parallel universes." Is that real? Like, do you believe this dude?
I feel like they wouldn't. If there's something to it, then they're definitely working on it. I feel like I don't know. It's hard to explain what like. If any of this stuff is real at all, even if it's just one small part of a department, I'm sure they'd be working on it because it's part of any government. They're gonna try to take advantage. Well, take advantage. I don't know if that's the right word. Try to have the upper hand in any situation, including possibly the whole paranormal world, supernatural. I mean, why wouldn't they be looking into that and seeing how they can use that as enhance, what they already have?
100%. And again, this is like, so if this is a guy from the Department of Energy actually describing this as happening, what do you think DARPA's been doing? I mean, we know that the CIA's kind of been into remote viewing and all kinds of just ridiculous shit, right? Like literally like, what the hell is going on with this government stuff? Again, Project Stargate, check it out. Just type it in your favorite search engine, Project Stargate. And it's a thing. It's a real thing. Where they had a remote viewing program with Joe McMoneagle and what's his name? It'll come to me. Two of the most notable remote viewers in history because they worked directly with the government. Ingo Swann and Joe McMoneagle are the two guys' names that worked with the government there. So, and again, like I said, the only reason I know all of this stuff, like it seems like I know a lot of shit. I don't. It's just because I've spent years talking about these things and learning the names and why I know this particular quote about the Department of Energy guy. I wish I thought of it beforehand. We could have worked it in, as part of the show. But hey, we worked it in anyway, didn't we?
Yeah, and yeah, that's a perfect example of the government doing that, and then working that in. But then also another thing that they're good at doing is starting something and then. Once it gets to be known, they shut it down. Once, too many people learn of it, they shut it down. So I'm sure that's not the last program like that they've done. I'm sure they have current programs somewhere.
Exactly. Next time, actually, wait. There's an actual there's a YouTube clip here we could play of him actually describing this. We'll do that after. Let's go to. We got a phone call here. Great stuff as always, James. Let's go to Tambam. We got a caller here in the Discord. We're looking to hear from you guys. What do you think about this? We're talking about portals, supernatural portals, and we've kind of gotten into maybe energy portals, which kind of turns it into an entirely other question. Is the internet haunted? Are there like sort of energy conduits that we've been able to create with our energy here on Earth? And again, that NASA study that says there are actual portals through the geomagnetic field field that go directly to the sun, and they open and close, and there's some that are small, some that are large and stay open constantly. All kinds of wacky shit. So looking to hear from you one more time, 702-957-1037. That's a Las Vegas area code. Or you can join the Discord. It's toll free because it's a free client. It's a free thing. And Tam Bam's in a completely other country, and she's contacting us free right now through Discord because Discord's amazing. Tam Bam, test 1 2. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Hello.
Hello. We hear you loud and clear. How are you? What's on your mind tonight, my friend?
I'm fine. How are you guys?
Doing good.
Good.
Good to hear from you.
I actually just forgot to switch off Rockfin, so I'm just going to go there quickly because I'm hearing a double echo.
Okay. Fantastic.
Voila. So you were talking about Stranger Things and energy and the Department of Energy, and I didn't catch most of it because I was sending my kid off to school, but I read this. I've been doing a bit of research with regards to sound and the energy and particles and mass, and I came across quite a few interesting things where our science is wrong in a way. Our textbooks are wrong, where they say mass is a bunch of particles together and it creates mass, but it's wrong because a particle, even an atom, if you even go closer into an atom, it's not a mass. It's all of it is energy, and all of it's connected at energy. So nothing's really touching it at all. So it's actually empty space, and with energy, and you can actually control that energy. So it makes sense that all these things can happen with energy manipulation, and it makes sense that the Department of Energy and the government is trying to work with that, because if you can manipulate energy, you can manipulate frequency, and you can manipulate sound, which opens portals, which does all sorts of strange things.
Stranger Things, even. Stranger Things.
Stranger.
Yes.
There we go.
Exactly. Yeah, and you're right. And I think, for military applications, I think that's the craziest part about most of the things we talk about on this show is that, again, very much like I said earlier, humanity is working with such a limited knowledge base on all the things, okay, universally speaking. Mm-hmm. But then also us as just regular people, we're working on like a grotesquely limited knowledge base of what technology actually exists now. Like DARPA is way ahead of us. They say at least 30 years ahead of us in real technology for military applications. So what the hell is going on? So let's say we're close enough to, like the Department of Energy guy here says that they're opening portals. He didn't say that, but he said they are working in parallel universes. Now, again, is he full of shit? Maybe. All right. However, why would you say something like that other than to kind of be a troll? And if you've been in the Secretary of Energy, that's a pretty high appointment, right? It's not like, you're not slanging fries at the local Piggly Wiggly or something like that. It's like you would expect this to be a serious person, and then they drop something like that on a talk show. Like, are we being trolled? What do you guys think?
Well, I don't know. I don't think so, because if you hit the nail on the head. So most of the agencies and the government, whatever, they are so far ahead in technology. So if he does drop a little bit of a bomb, which is explosive to us, but it's probably something that they've been doing for decades, and they're only releasing it now because they're probably further along in everything else. So like you said, we only give it a limited amount of data, information of ourselves, let alone the rest of the universe and what's really going on. So I think he might be giving us a clue.
A clue of what's actually going on out there. And I think the thing too, you got to understand, a lot of these people, when you get to that level, they're human. They have egos, right? They want to be like, oh, I've got secrets that you guys don't know, right? So that's why I'm a little more willing to believe they're not just fucking with us, and they're like, they're kind of like, yeah, hey, by the way, we're working in parallel universes. Like, but what the hell does that mean? Like, Stargate is working in parallel universes where they send the team through the through the damn. Oh my god. Thoughts, James?
I would agree if, as always, if they're saying that much, and I think the fact that they're saying it on a TV show, they probably figure they can say it because most people aren't even going to consider what that could mean. They're just watching popular television. I mean, I wonder how many people actually gave that statement any kind of thought at the time.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna look into.
Yeah, because
Go ahead.
they think we're so stupid. They think the majority of us are so stupid, but the truth seekers out there take this as fact. Like, shit, is that what you're working on? If you're telling us that now, how further are you in technology that you're not actually going to tell us, or you're going to tell us in 10 years from now? The shit's getting too real.
Yeah.
It is.
I agree.
It is. And yeah, but again, right, and this is, so if this is the Department of Energy, this isn't DARPA at all, right? And so if the Department of Energy is somehow cracked a way to be able to, quote, work in alternate universes, what the fuck is DARPA doing? You know? And then so we're expected to believe that UFOs are from Alpha Centauri or some shit. Like, don't you think we'd be flying those things around ourselves? I don't know. Like, it kind of opens up a whole bunch of other questions here. Yeah, more rabbit holes, right? Always more rabbit holes. By the way, which are of course portals. Because what did Alice in Wonderland jump down? Yeah, that's right. It was a portal, wasn't it? They call it a rabbit hole.
She was on DMT.
But it was a portal. She was on DMT. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. It absolutely could be. But yeah, this is a pretty wild quote. And again, coming from a notable person. So I'll do some research on this guy. I don't know anything about this dude. Like, I've just heard this kind of in passing, this quote in passing on Clyde Lewis and some other shows. But this is something that was said in public on a talk show that the Department of Energy was just like, oh, by the way, yeah, we're doing that shit, and confirmed that Stranger Things was really based on a real program. So that creeps you out. What are your other thoughts, Tam or James, or go? Do it. Get to the chopper.
Okay, so I think it's all real. Even that program or that, I don't know, it's a story thing of CSPs. They tell you that these CSPs, those stories. Have you heard of them? Or
no.
SPC?
SPC, no. What is that?
No, something like that. It's about a whole bunch of stories that all these creators, this is what they say, these creators make, are these weird, bizarre stories that and they tell it in such a way with such detail that you actually, for like a few months, I thought this shit was so real. I was addicted to listening to this stuff. I thought it was really real. And then my husband and I found out it was not. It was actually a bunch of creators making this stuff up. And then the other day, some guy said, no, these CSPs are real, come from true events. I can't explain it to you, but we have so many, there's an underground jail of sorts, a lot with so many different alien species and so many different different buildings where there's portals. So in the front face of the building, it looks like a normal building, like someone lives there. But inside the building, it's actually they've masked it because it's a dangerous place, or a portal, or some place where a scientist's lab where they're creating all these weird things. And everything's hidden in plain sight. And everything, what we know, we are so far behind. We know nothing compared to what's really going on, what entities are really out there, what is real and what's not. Portals, they exist, whether you want to believe it or not. Like that ship that disappeared, they made that ship, tank, not a ship, that army ship, not army, whatever ship disappear from the ocean, and then it like reappeared a few seconds or a few minutes later, and that was a government program.
That's the Philadelphia experiment, right?
In 1970s?
No, that was even the 50s. What was that? That was World War II. That was in the 40s. You're talking about the Philadelphia experiment, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was back then. And that's what the shit they were doing back then. So it makes sense they're going to drop tiny little bombs now. And the majority of the people won't understand. They'll laugh it off and say, it's not real. The government energy, they're just talking shit. Aliens aren't real. This is how they've dumbed the majority of the people down. And so obviously they can get away with saying stuff like that because most of the people are not going to care and most of the people are not going to research it. And if they do, it's so limited because our internet, where you find the real shit, is in the dark web. And who the fuck wants to go there?
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. Yeah, I don't know. And this is exactly why we do this, right? Why we get everybody together and talk about these things, because there's some ideas out there. And again, I don't know if the things we're talking about are the truth. I want to make clear to everybody. I know we got some new audience bubbling up there on Rockfan. What's up? Shout out to all the lurkers out there. But I just want to make clear that we're discussing these things as possibilities, right? And we do reserve the right to be wrong because, well, we probably are in many cases, but we're trying to get at the heart of this, the heart of what portals mean. Again, we started with paranormal ones, and we ended up talking about maybe government portals, like electronic portals, like the Department of Energy, and this quote here that I have up. And I've got a source for this. This is not me making shit up. So, right? Sure, fine. You can say, Mike, you're cherry picking shit. You're trying to make us believe that. Well, okay, well, go read it yourself, right? Go find this shit yourself. Look into DARPA. Yeah. Look into some of this technology. Look into some of the things that we've discussed tonight. It's real. This shit is real. But how real, right? That's the question. How much has this been going on? How long has it been going on? Yeah, I don't know. And that's a good point, Tam. If we're talking about like the Philadelphia experiment, like Night Stalker thanks to USS Eldridge happens like in the 40s, like Einstein time, like the very first nuclear stuff. As they were they were talking about cloaking the ship itself, and it ended up teleporting through some kind of portal. Remember the stories of the seamen being fused into the ship itself when the thing kind of went through some portal and ended up 300 miles north of where they started, type of thing. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't know what to believe with all this stuff, but there's a lot of really fascinating tales, aren't there? That's for damn sure. So we're getting to the end of this. So final. Let's go final thoughts on this, guys. Let's go with James. Anything that you want to follow up on anything Tam Bam said, and then we'll go final thoughts on Tam.
I agree, and I think also to your point, Mike. That's one of the things I'm very careful about. I'm not saying I know any of this stuff for sure. Any of the stuff I cover on my show for sure. All I can do is base my thoughts and ideas off of what I've heard and read and what people have told me, and I think there's too much there for it all to be fake. What I always come back to, whether it's UFOs or ghosts or portals or any of the weird stuff. I think there's too much there for it all to be fake, exaggerated. Amen to that.
All right, so let's get final thoughts. Tam Bam. From I won't say where you're from because we don't want to out you, but from half a world away on Discord with us and talking just like that. Amazing technology.
Okay, you can tell. South Africa, like no one gives a shit about us, but you should.
Okay, we should. South Africa, we should give a shit. Absolutely.
Well, because America has bought half our weapons patents, so we're not stupid. Like Elon Musk is born in South Africa. Come on now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he came from. Yeah, he's South African, isn't he? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And he's also, by the way, the richest man in the world. The richest man in the world.
Yes, that damn stupid idiots. Him and Jeff Bezos have this stupid race of who can be the richest. I mean, come on, man. There's better things you can do with your money.
Yeah, for real. There's a lot of good ones out there that are giving their money away too to neat great causes, but I don't know enough about Elon Musk and his charitable stuff, but if you're the richest person in the world, you better be giving some of it away, or you're just an asshole. That's all I gotta say about that. But okay, so,
he is an asshole. He forgot his words.
Okay, there you go. All right, fine. You said it. All right, so final thoughts on this, Tam, with the portal stuff. I don't know. Again, so we started with like spiritual portals, doorways, under the bed type stuff, and then we got to the Department of Energy and like the internet's haunted and all kinds of weird shit. Where do we take this? Are we nuts, or are we onto something?
No.
What do you think?
I think we're onto something. I think people are magical beings. We're all made up of energy. We can attract and manifest things as we will. I believe that because I've done my own research. It's very, very difficult. And I think the underlying common denominator of what the fuck is wrong with the world is the secrecy of it. The governments who are hiding all this stuff from it. They keep on giving us TV and technology to distract us from what's really going on. They're poisoning our food systems and our water, and calcifying our pineal gland, so we don't have access to all these magical and wonderful things, of which I believe why extraterrestrials are really, really interested in us. So we're magical superhumans, super beings and people just need to realize their power.
Amen to that. 100%, 100%. And it comes from many different ways, right? It comes from us learning. It comes from us growing. It comes from us being together. It comes from, like I always say too, and this is true, is that what is human influence if it's not influencing humans? And so you can take that one of two ways, right? You can be a dick, an asshole, and take us in a bad way, or hey, you can inspire us to greater things, to stranger greater things. And clearly if you've listened to us for a while, you know exactly what we're getting at here. And it's like I always say, just be good to each other, and it resonates. It's that ripple effect. And do our best to little things count, and let's just keep doing the little things. Appreciate it, Tam. You're the best. Let's go to James.
Thanks.
No, thank you, James. Final thought, my friend. First, before your final thought, tell everybody about your podcast again. James is doing great work of Salsido Paranormal. Tell us, buddy. Tell us all about it, man.
Yeah, I think it's important that everyone that has had experiences has places to share their stories about those experiences, and that's what I want my podcast to do whenever possible. And so that's what it's mainly for. I do true ghost stories from people all over the place or from just online, and then I also do dives similar to this where I cover specific topics, and it's been a lot of fun, and it's been great to be here. Thank you for having me here. And yeah, my podcast, you can find it at SalsidoParanormal.podbean.com. It's SALSIDO. And join my Discord to be there for the live streams. And appreciate everything and everyone was said tonight. Everything you all said. It's been great to hear the chat, see the chat, and hear the calls. If I can talk right, that'd be great too. Anyway,
welcome to my world. All the things all these beautiful thoughts in my head, and then they hit my mouth, and then shit just goes sideways. But what can you do, man? Just keep trucking. Just keep on trucking. All right, so it is SalsidoParanormal.podbean.com. I just tried to pull the link up to get it, and it's coming up like a dead link. Like you said, he's having website problems right now. So the thing is this, guys. If you want his podcast, scroll down both on Rockfin and on YouTube. It's already there. So just scroll down. You'll find his link. Just click on that. Again, it should be up tomorrow or so. So we're just having some issues, but yeah, I mean that's what we're talking about tonight. We're talking about all the crazy shit, and that's what we do on this show. Yeah, fantastic. As Derek says, crushed it, James. Pleasure's ours. Thank you so much for being on the show. You already know you have the open card to come in and jump in anytime you want on the show, and you do regularly, and I appreciate that so much. So thanks for planning on this with us. Thanks for committing and then showing up on time and doing all the things right and taking it seriously and giving us your amazing takes. It's amazing stuff, my friend. Thank you so much for spending your time with us.
Thank you.
Yeah. Pleasure's ours. All right. So as you guys know, again, like I said, we're picking up new audience, new folks on Rockfin and some other places too. So if you don't know, all of you guys are invited on the show. If you have an idea for a show, and we do it's a long 3 hours. It's difficult. It's one of those things where you're like, it's kind of daunting, but I've done it so often that you got me. I got your back. But if you have like an idea for a show, contact me. troubledmindsradio@gmail.com. You can get me on Discord. Go to troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. There's so many ways. That phone number 702-957-1037 is persistent. So you could leave me a voicemail. There it is right on the stream. Like all of that stuff. There's so many ways. I'm not hiding. Find me on Twitter at troubledmindsr, just for R's for the radio, because at Troubled Minds is taken, but at Troubled Minds are on Twitter. I'm not hiding. Like if you guys want to be on the show, I've invited everybody to be on the show, and that's true. Anybody back me up? Who has been like, I want to be on the show, and I'm like, nah, we ain't doing that. No, we're doing that. And the reason we're doing that is because I've always said this from the very beginning when we started this. You don't have to be Linda Moulton Howe to talk about this shit. You don't have to be Richard Dolan to talk about this shit. You don't have to be, I don't know, like insert name here. You don't have to have a blog or be trying to sell a book or any of this other shit. You just have to be you. All right? And that's what this has always been about. It's about us. Me being me, you being you, and us getting together and talking. And like many of the folks, Tam's been a co-host on the show. Penny, the Curious Bunny's been a co-host on the show. Jay in New York been a co-host on the show. Like so many people. Clearly, James has been a co-host on the show. We've done a show with Derek, the Night Stalker. I'm telling you, look, and it goes back. It goes back. Ash, the reptilian, like you guys know him as a co-host. You know how he started? He called into the show once. This is what I'm saying to you. You guys are all welcome, okay? Contact me. We'll book the show. We'll talk about it. If you don't think you have enough to talk about, we'll do like a segment, right? And then, you can take off and it's fine and whatever. Like you're welcome to stay for the entire thing, but I understand 3 hours is a long fucking haul. It's hard to do. But I've been doing
it's not enough.
It's not enough. What the fuck? Are you serious? See, like I said, everything looks easier on TV. You see, that's why I put myself on TV. Everything looks easier on TV.
Yeah. I know it's hard for you, but like
it's not hard.
I can't get enough.
It's so hard. I'm just saying, I've had years of practice. That's why it looks easier on TV. That's what I'm saying. So in the old days, it was much more difficult. But now I could probably talk for 3 hours about nothing and maybe get away with it. Maybe. But right when you guys add to the conversation, it makes this embole. Not enough. All right, but we do go.
I saw 12 hours there somewhere in the chat too.
That was
Mike in 12 hours.
He does long ones.
Who did 12 hours? I never did 12 hours.
No, Penny.
I think someone wants you to do 12 hours. That's what they're saying.
Shit. Oh, shit. All right. Well, okay. So maybe one of these days, like I said, I was even trying to get the folks on Fringe to do like a whole, like, I don't know, 2-week stream, like a concurrent, like break the world record of like I don't know, whatever. Nobody listens to me. It doesn't matter. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to keep on trucking and doing our thing and talking about the things we want to talk about. And this is the beauty of it, right? Nobody fucking tells us what to say. Nobody fucking tells us what to think. We do it ourselves. We're individuals. We're not part of some crappy hive mind that's going to tell us whatever kind of political ideology we should be believing in. We get to decide for ourselves. And that's what this show is about. One more time, we're getting the fuck out of here. We're with Tam Bam from South Africa, James of SalsidoParanormal. Please follow his podcast. He does streams three times a week. Go join his Discord and say hi. Can you drop the Discord one more time, James, as we finish the sucker up in the chat? And I'll bump it over to Rockfin for you as well. Thank you. Yep. Grabbing that link. Thank you. Here we go. All right. So please follow James Salsido. He's got the... There's his Discord link as well. You can find ours at troubledminds.org. Follow that. Let's do it. Let's get the hell out of here. So it's Thursday night, so we go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So tonight is the last show of the week for Troubled Minds, but tomorrow we do a news show on Monday and Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific, exclusively on Twitch. All right? You know how you find our Twitch account? Yeah, that's right. You go to troubledminds.org. Everything is there, troubledminds.org. And you guessed it, it's called Troubled Minds Radio on Twitch. But anyway, so we do a news show. We'll do that tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific, and we'll see you there. And we'll be back on Monday. So let's finish this effort up. I've said too many F words in the last 20 minutes. All right, let's do it. Let's do it, guys. Outro music is rolling. Final thoughts. This is where we get weird. This is where we get crazy. Let it rip, Tam. Let it rip, James.
I have some news. I'm going to send a link soon. I'm working with L'Oreal on a campaign.
Sweet. Congratulations. Congratulations. Send us the links. We'd love to support you. Thank you. Thank you for that. Congratulations to you. Tam is an entrepreneur, works for herself, and yes, 100% congratulations. I'm happy to hear it. Send us the links. We're happy to support you. James.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
It's great news, and thank you all as always. I love being here, and can't wait to be here for more shows and call in for more shows and hear you all as well.
Amen, brother. Part.
for me.
Amen, brother. I agree. That's what makes my world go round, is hearing your guys' takes, amazing takes on these things. Thanks again for listening. All right, remember, one more time, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific, D-Live, Rockfin, YouTube, Twitter. We're streaming on all of them, and usually we're on the Fringe FM, just not tonight, having some technical issues. And the thing is this. The bad news is we're done. The good news is, God willing, we've got tomorrow. All right? Keep on trucking. Keep being good to yourself, for yourself, so you can help other people. Don't discount the little things. Those ripple effects are important. All right? So let's finish this sucker up. We're out of here. Again, I'm Michael Strange. This is Troubled Minds. We're here with our good friend Tam Bam from South Africa and James Salsido of Salsido Paranormal Podcast. You guys are the best. Thanks for hanging out. As we finish, I'll say it one time tonight. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night.